Welcome to Thursday Night with a Friend. Did I screw that up? Thursday with a Friend. My name is Lawrence. And today I have a special, special, I'm throwing in another one, special guest. This guy, there was a chance he wasn't even going to be here today.
I
And by
was
that,
gonna,
on
especially
this,
this hero I couldn't hear.
yeah, on this earth, there was a good chance he wasn't going to be here. Wraith Mace, how are you doing?
Yay! I have to go back to work on Monday, but yes.
Have you been off since the surgery?
No, so no, I had the surgery, then I was off for 2 months, then I went back October 14th to work. And a lot of people were like, "What? Why are you coming back to work so fast?" And yes, I've been back at work since then. I was supposed to work kind of a part-time schedule, but like yeah, it doesn't really work out. So I've been working since then, and then I had 2 weeks off for vacation for Christmas. So
And we will definitely get into that in a little bit. So stick around, people, because I think it's safe to say that you are my first, at least that I know of, brain surgery guest. Um, now, don't get me wrong. I think I've had a few on that need brain surgery, but that's that's a whole nother topic there. So anyway, how was your Christmas? How was your New Year's been? You were the first guest of the year, and I thought it was a great way. Um, I know you had sent me something a while back. Um, how you were talking, and I'm like, not to be mean, but I want to do it right now with you.
no. It's hysterical because I sent right after this, literally after the surgery, I like sent a message to a lot of people, and everybody was like, "Okay," and then like even my work recently was like, "We were so worried you weren't going to come back to normal."
Well, it didn't help when you explained everything, and I want to get into that later on
Sure.
because, um, again, when you explained it, I'm just like, dude, I can't deal with that, dude. I'm not ashamed to say that I'm not tough enough to deal with what you talked
You'd
about.
be surprised, dude. You'd be surprised. Like you just roll with it.
Yeah, I had to deal with my ex, and she says, I got nauseous hearing about her back surgery. That was hearing about her back surgery, not even before it was even done. All right, not even like after it was done. All right.
Oh
But I did
man.
watch two kids come out when she thought I was gonna pass out on my
Oh my God.
that
Yeah.
didn't bother me at all. Maybe because they were mine and I helped.
Did you cut the umbilical cord?
I did. That was probably the nastiest thing ever. Did
Dude,
you?
I
Well,
couldn't. I when I see blood, I almost faint every time. So I watched. It was weird. I watched my son come out, and it was a long pregnancy, but I couldn't cut the umbilical cord. I was like,
it
nope.
it was. It doesn't cut. You're like it is awful. Like
They
it
had you,
doesn't
they had
cut.
you like electric, electric knife for like
The
turkey
turkey
cutting.
cutter. Mm. It was, dude. Like it was off, and they have these like the weird shear, like scissors, the shears or whatever. And I'm like, this thing's not cutting. They're like, just keep. I'm like, I don't remember if I did it for Olivia. I think I must have done it for Olivia too. It was the first time because you're just expecting like snip, you're done. No, dude,
Yeah.
that thing was not coming off.
Oh God.
um,
Yeah. I couldn't touch the umbilical cord.
well, I
No
mean,
way.
we'll see. The reason why my ex thought that I was going to pass out was because when she had back surgery, before her back surgery, when her first back blew out, we were talking. We went to the doctors, the surgeon, and he was trying to explain it. And he has the MRI up, and he's pointing it out. And I'm looking at it, I don't understand. It's a black and white picture, right, with light behind it. And he's like, oh, the disc is here. It's probably one of the most painful ones, but one of the most easiest. And I'm like, I don't understand. And he's trying to point out. And he goes, imagine it's like a jelly donut, and it's pushed out, and now all that jelly is pushing up against the nerves. And I'm sitting there, and Susan's sitting next to me, and I go, how long is she gonna be out of work? And he goes, I don't know, probably about 6 to 8 weeks. And I put my head down like this. And she said, she goes, the first thing I thought was, well, it's going to be kind of rough, but we'll be okay. And she said, You looked up and you were white, and you said,
Oh
"Where's the
no.
bathroom?" And I bolted. And I didn't end up. I didn't throw up, but I think it was the description and me spending all this time asking him, trying to figure it out. And when he used the
In your
jelly donut,
mind.
but when she thought I'd pass out with the kids, and when I watched the kids come out, it was like no big deal. I mean, I told a story recently about that, and that that's a whole nother story. But the umbilical cord, I don't. I think you're the first person to ever ask about that. It is the weirdest. Anyone else has cut the umbilical cord, please. Like, it doesn't cut.
I'm glad I don't know that because, like I said, I was like, listen, I can. If you guys want me to fall on the floor fainting, then I can do that because I will. It was the weirdest thing, dude.
I gotta say, like the whole delivery, everything about it through both of them, there's always something that's something interesting, I guess you could say. I remember it was Olivia, and they hand her to her, and she's like she had been pushing this thing out, my dog, this thing. But she's like looking, and she's like holding her, and she's like, get her off me, because she was
Oh
just
yeah,
so exhausted.
yeah. That was my wife on our first. My son. She was in labor for like 8 hours, 8 hours, and they find what did they do? They threatened her with a C-section, and then she was like, okay, and she was super tired. She was like totally exhausted by the end, and then my daughter like fell out.
Oh, neither one. Olivia, she'd still be in there if they wouldn't have pulled her out.
Oh really?
Oh,
Oh
dude,
god.
they induced her. They tried breaking the water. She was not coming, and they finally like had to do whatever they did to kind of force it.
Oh
But she was
wow.
yeah, that girl was not coming. Like I said, she'd still
She's
be in
like,
there
this
with
is my bedroom. I'm not leaving. Leave me alone.
she had her legs spread against, like you're not taking me. You know what? Let's quickly say hi to the chat. There's 37 people watching. Please hit that like button if you haven't. Also, if you're not following Wraith Mace on either Instagram or YouTube, in the description I put both those links. So go ahead and give them a like, a follow, subscribe, whatever they are. So we have Krusty Old Crow here. We have Christoph Scuba is in the house. We have Thanos Copter, Aaron the Toy Enhancer, GI Bro, Menhoza, Clint Jorgensen. I like just screwing up everyone's name. Plastic Fantastic. We have Wraith Mace, who everyone says you're pulling double duty. I don't think just commenting really constitutes as double duty, but Eric Thurman, Ray Black, Matthew Matson. I already said Thanos, but I'll say him again. Delta 17. Len, you get Len because I know. Do you know how to say his last name?
Scrivenger back. I'm just totally destroying
Yeah,
it.
no, see, that's why I say Len.
Yep.
We have Machine Man
Fantastic.
Action Faces joined us. We have Frankie Riviera, Sean Stuff, Ostrodamus Toys, Joe Fan 84, and let's see here. I know there's a few other people. Pop Blender has joined us.
Yay, Pop.
I can't believe Pop isn't like live right now. The guy's always live. And podcast from the pit. I don't know if you've ever caught a live because I believe you're normally working, so it is great to have you in here. Payne's Toy Samples, Four Feathers, who I know pops in and out every now and then, so it's great to have you here. 3-Star Draw, it's one of
Yay.
his. Turk Murphy Solutions is here. Viper Scout, you know Viper Scout. Tony Spiggs has joined us.
Yay.
And Sub-0911. We were just talking.
I know. We're just. I know. Someone was listening.
I doubt that has anything to do with it, but it is kind of crazy. Like we were just talking about it. They're listening. I mean, I'm not one of those conspiracy guys, but man, when people like, you're gonna tell me her name, I don't want to say it. You're gonna tell me they're listening. Like, all you have to do is say their name. All you have to say their name, and then listen.
You're gonna get it. You don't even have to, dude. You'd be like, you're thinking about buying something, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, there's an ad about it.
Dude, it's so bad. Plastic Skulls has joined us. What up, APT and everyone else? All right, so let's just get into this. Um, Wraith Mace, where does the name come from?
So, so it's really the name Wraith. So originally, back in I would say 2013, I got into paintball. Okay, and in one of my first paintball games I went to, I saw these dudes sitting on the side, and this is in Long Island. I grew up in Long Island, New York, and they were all dressed out in like tactical gear, and they had realistic guns. They weren't the space-looking guns that a normal paintball gun would have with the hopper at the top. They actually had like real AR-looking guns. I'm like, what the hell? And they had all tactical gear on, and they were loading everything through magazines, right? So I saw those guys, went up talking to them. They were into something called mag fed paintball. So essentially it's instead of using like 200 rounds in the hopper, you have magazines, and you have like 18 rounds of the paintballs, or you use something called first strike, which are, think of a paintball cut in half, and fins are wrapped around the back of it. So when you shoot it out, it stabilizes the paintball and it shoots, and generally it's going to go within, what you're shooting at instead of just flying off. So I got into mag-fed paintball really hard, and I actually joined the team. So this whole group of guys was about 150 guys, ex-military. A lot of ex-military was playing it. Policemen were playing it. To everybody had like code names, okay, and it was literally like everybody's running around dressed up like a big GI Joe, okay, and so I wanted to wear all black, so I wore all black. I wore a hood. I don't know why, but I wore a hood. I wore my mask. I had none of my skin showing at all. Like that was my thing. If you ask some of the guys who know, like I never showed my face or anything, right? So one day we're playing paintball, and I was coming through the trees, and one of the guys was looking down on me, and you had the way that you got code names or nicknames, code names essentially back then was someone had to give it to you. So somebody saw me walking through the forest, and they were like, "You look like a ring wraith. Wraith. Your name is Wraith." So that's how I got my code name. That's where Wraith came from. Mace is because somebody on YouTube has Wraith, and I couldn't take just Wraith, right? Because my patches say Wraith. So I had to say, I was thinking Wraith Mace or Wraith Hammer. I wish that I had picked Hammer because of Warhammer, right? But Wraith Mace works fine. So that's a long-winded version of where the name comes from.
Wraith Mace it flows better than Wraith Hammer.
Cool. Good. Good. Good.
And
Good.
when I was going through like doing the thumbnail, it was the first time I noticed there was no mace, even though you sent me like the the patches, and I was like, it didn't even dawn on me. It doesn't say mace anywhere, but
Yep. And those
okay.
patches I got sponsored by a company who makes patches when I play paintball, and that's where the patches came from.
And Matthew Madsen saying Wraith Hammer doesn't work, Wraith Mace does. I mean I agree. Wraith Hammer is just, it's not bad, it's just too much. But Wraith Mace just, it's like boom, it's right there and in your face, and done. And it's the same time Toys has joined us, along with
Yo,
Allison, who I said a little bit earlier.
what's up? Same time. What's up, Matt?
But Ed says, but the Hammer Wraith would be cool. I am firmly against people changing their YouTube names, Instagram names after they've gotten established.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, you spend so much time.
I was gonna say you work so hard to get that.
Yeah. And even like your logo, once you have an established logo, and again, I know places do change, but hell, Chrysler still has the Pentastar that they try and get rid of, and they can't get rid of the Pentastar because that's how everyone knows it. It doesn't help that the headquarters, that the top office of the president is the Pentastar. It's like you
Yep.
can't get rid of it. They can't redo the building. And let's see, Largo's Lair is joining us, and
Yeah, what's up, Largus?
Matrix, also great to have you guys. Please hit that like button. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button also. But go down and make sure you head over to Wraith Hammer Mace and All right. So, do you mind me asking how old you are?
I am 47 years old. I was born in 1977.
So you're a youngin.
Ha! Dude,
As I'm
I like hearing that, dude. Usually I'm one of the oldest.
as I'm 49 now, and I'm like, I was driving, I'm like, fuck, I'm almost 50. Like,
Dude, it doesn't
like
feel like that. It
no,
does not feel like I've been through shit, you've been through shit, but like it doesn't feel like we're that old. I feel like I'm in,
we,
I don't know, late 20s, 30s.
I told this not too long ago. We're watching Elf,
Hmm.
Alien Life Form, and I was sitting with Olivia, and this was maybe a year ago, 2 years ago, and I go, and I decided to look up how old they were, and I said to Olivia, I go, do I look as old as the dad? She's like, no. I'm like, not at all. She's like, no. I go, he's 39 there. And I was like 47 at the time. And I'm like, oh my God. Like some of these people are just, man, the generation did not treat some people good.
No.
Because 50 was so old. Like,
Yeah, dude.
if
Dude.
Krusty says 50 is the new 40, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think it's
I
even,
need this.
but I think it's even younger to be honest. Um, because I mean, people live longer, they're in better health, they take care of themselves a little bit better. But man, I gotta say, like, I definitely don't feel no 50 or almost
No.
50, should I say?
Cocaine.
And Bobby Wold, cocaine age, yes, I guess. D. Griffin, you're both kids, 54 here. No, this kid, your little icon, he looks like he's old. He's not gonna age well.
Stewie.
But yeah, no, it is weird getting to that because again, like I remember being 50 or seeing people that were 50, like that's grandparent age.
Dude, it's like I said, it's very different. And especially because I waited to have kids until I was 40. So
Well, that's nuts, man. Because
mhm.
kids are for young people, and you're just poking the bear.
Tell me about it, dude. Well, my wife is like 7 years younger than me, so it was a somewhat of an okay thing, but yeah, because I got
Yeah.
married when I was 35, 35.
I
So
hope she's not watching. He knows exactly what it was.
exactly.
Um, I tell everyone, I go, kids are for young people. They don't care. Like you come home
Mhm.
from a hard day at work, and when they want to jump on you,
Yep.
and that seems great when you're in your
You wake
30s.
up in the morning, your little daughter is jumping on you, crushing your nuts. Yep.
Yeah.
I know that feeling.
But when you're 43, 44, like if they want to do that, if you're a halfway decent person, you're going to play with your kids.
Yep.
It's like you're going to get on your knees and play with them. But at that age, you're just going to fall to your knees. Oh, Dad, you
It's
really
either that
want
or
to
die
play?
from
No, I
exhaustion.
just am not getting up.
Yep.
So where'd you grow up at?
So I grew up, so I was born in New York, and then my father worked for Ma Bell back in the day. So Ma Bell, for anybody who doesn't know, there was no Sprint, there was no telephone companies, there was just one, there was no AT&T, it was just one telephone company for the entire United States. So my father was a telephone worker. So he grew up in New York. I was born in New York with my older brother. We moved to California, we moved to Oregon, moved to Texas, and then we moved back to New York and Long Island.
Wow. So
Mhm.
you've been around a little bit.
Yeah, it was so early. Like I said, we moved to Texas by the time I was in kindergarten, and we had already been in California and Oregon where my brother and sister, younger brother and younger sister, were born. We moved back to Texas. Moved to Texas for 1 year. I spent a kindergarten there, and then we moved back to New York, and I was in first grade. So I don't have a ton of memories from
Okay.
California and Oregon, but yeah.
So you have a younger brother and a younger sister. How much, like, what's the age difference?
So my older brother is 5 years older than me. Then I have a younger brother who's 2 years younger than me. He's actually a cop. And then I have a younger sister who's 5 years younger than me.
There's a police officer. We don't refer to them as cops. They don't like that. I've heard some say that. I'm like, I'll call you whatever. You call police officer, I don't care. Like, whatever. You know. And Mr. Wonderful and Kenzo are both jumping in.
What's up, Kenzo? I have a lot to thank Kenzo for.
Yeah.
Kenzo is the one who got me on the whole making songs thing. So thank you, Kenzo.
Oh wow, you and Mr. Wonderful though. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Wonderful loves that AI stuff. Matthew Matson does not. I tend to side more with Matthew Matson. I'm not gonna lie. All right, so you have a brother that's 2 years younger and one that's 5 years older.
Mm-hmm.
And how much younger is your sister?
5 years younger than me.
Okay, so I would assume from your younger brother, like, did you have like a built-in play friend then, or were you guys?
Sort of. My younger brother was essentially my tail, and I was kind of the tail from my older brother, but because he was 5 years older, it really didn't work out too much. But yeah sort of.
So was your younger brother just always like tagging along and you hated it?
No, he would tag along. I would be fine with it. It was just how do I put it? He didn't really make a lot of friends. It was mostly me that made friends, and so he became their friends by default. So
Matthew says AI is stealing our souls and our ideas.
No man. I'm not gonna get into it.
I just like imagining you and Mr. Wonderful Travis there, like making these AI songs, and you can see like some like Grim Reaper just literally taking your soul as you're doing it. Or let's say a Wraith behind you.
That would be cool. Hey man, if you could promise me that's gonna happen, that would be cool.
Purity McBeardison says, "Don't worry about AI until the porn industry has." You know, I make the joke about the AI, and I'm like, am I the only one that saw Terminator? Like, I feel like I'm the only one that saw it. Like, we all know how this ends, and I'm like halfway joking, but I'm also like, yeah, like they're letting everything take it over. But whatever, I'll collect my toys and ride my skateboard. And
to be honest, what I'll say on it, I wish that this version of AI was named something different, because the name, because this is not true what you think of, what everybody thinks of AI. This is, believe me, this is not what you're thinking of. So I wish that it was called something else.
Well, either way. We all saw Terminator, all right?
Yes,
stop acting like we didn't see it, all right?
Yes.
There was just that sigh of relief when like Judgment Day didn't happen. Isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's right.
It was like sigh of relief. Yep. Well, like it's still happening. All right, so can you remember like your? Give me 1 second. Sure. My, what do you need? Do you need to say hi? Come up here and say hi. Say hi to everyone. Oh my gosh. Why?
Oh man.
She let you out, didn't she? Did she not let you out? Go see her.
She wants to go out.
Go see her. Can you call him? She said that because I can sit up here and be on another stream or whatever, or watch something or talk to somebody. But Olivia was saying, I think like when you start going live, like you talk differently. You're normally like more professional. I don't know if that's true or not. And she goes, she says, I have a different tone. And she goes, I think that's what gets him feeling he has to come over and
get you normal.
Yeah, and now he's like, do you need to go outside?
No, he's gone outside. When I let him out last time, he was due to it, so he's fine.
Okay, you have to walk outside with him, let him go out, and let him run around.
I looked, I opened the door, and I was like, Roman, where are you at? And he ran inside so quickly.
Okay. Do you want to go outside?
No, he doesn't.
Well, go.
He can walk all he wants. He can want.
All right, go.
I'm not doing it again. Please let him out. I just let him out. He's going to do nothing.
All right. Patrick says you certainly talk more when it's your show. Yeah, that is true. God, you're not helping.
I'm giving him space.
All right. Anyway,
Look, that's what he wanted.
yeah, look at his eyes. Just let him out, please,
No.
so I can continue.
That's what he wanted.
You know, I'm just gonna have to keep calling for you if you won't do it.
So that happens anyway.
All right, bye. Take the dog.
Say bye to your dog, bro.
All right. Anyway,
Come on. Come here.
no, and now he won't go. I apologize.
No. He's
Yeah,
like, I'm
control
good.
He is bad. Like I make sure before any show I let him out, and so hopefully he doesn't do this. But man, he gets to be needy. Same time Toy says this is Roman's channel, soon to be the kids. Punk just holds it together. Yeah, eventually it'll be Thursday with Olivia. She'll be doing all the interviews and she'll be yelling for me to come take the dog and let him out.
My son wants to take over my YouTube channel too. He's like, "Oh, Dad, I'm gonna take it." I'm like, "Okay, fine."
You just go make your own.
Mm.
All right. So, do you remember, like, as a kid, like, what your first toys that you remember having? I know, like, again, I think people our age, it's like Hot Wheels normally, the Little People stuff, or Adventure People. Do you remember, like, the first, not the toys you fell in love with, but like the first toys you ended up playing with?
Like Lincoln Logs. I remember I love Lincoln Logs for some reason. I remember having the Hot Wheels. Oh God, I had I forgot what it's called. Remember the big Godzilla with the flying fist and the flame tongue? I had that. I remember having it in Oregon, and my older brother shot the fist and it hit me in the face, and I was like, I don't know, 4 years old. So he was like 9. So I started screaming and crying. So he took the Godzilla, made things worse by throwing it up on the roof. He was like, "Oh, it doesn't exist. Mom, I didn't shoot that fist in Robert's in his face." So yeah. So I remember that I remember I was I love Godzilla. Love Godzilla.
Did you ever get it back?
I don't. I think my father probably got it down, but I still remember that to this day. My brother shot the flying fist in my face, hit me in the face, and then had the grand idea of just taking it and throwing it up on the roof. So, yeah.
And quickly, Matthew just asked me a question. I know I said I was going to do Punk's Pit the first Friday of every month. I'm not doing it this month. We did it the second Friday. I think we're going to do it the second Friday. It seems like there's been a lot happening. So, yeah. So next Friday will be Punk's Pit. I just wanted to, rather than you seeing me text someone and be like, "Wow, that's real rude of you." So again, being around my age, all the stuff was happening. Do you remember like the first toys you fell in love with? I mean, you said Godzilla, but like, what was like the first toys that you can remember playing with that you just absolutely fell in love with?
So I remember very vividly getting my very first He-Man figure from my Nana, which is my mother's mother, and she bought me Man-at-Arms. And so I loved Man-at-Arms, and I was always not sure why the figure was not looking like the cartoon version who had a mustache. And so I was like, is this the same guy? But yeah, so Man-at-Arms was one of the figures, one of the toys I still have like very fond memories of, and I actually collect all of the versions of Man-at-Arms now.
Yeah, you talked about that before, and I think that's actually pretty cool. I didn't even realize until Origins to the Filmation stuff. I always thought it looked just like it, but I wasn't a huge He-Man guy.
Yep.
And as soon as they came out, I was kind of like, "Oh my god, they don't look anything like the Filmation."
No.
I mean, again, you can see the similarities, but it's like, wow, they do look completely different. But it never did
Yeah.
even dawn on me that one had a mustache and one didn't.
Yeah.
I think I was more confused on why he only has armor on one side of him, even as a kid.
Of course.
But yeah, no, Man at Arms is there's something very unique about him, just in
Yes.
general, because he's kind of like the Batman. He doesn't have superpowers.
Nope.
He's not overly strong. He has the brains to make what he needs to fight, and then make everything for everyone else. So, but that is cool because you collect just the Man at Arms stuff, and I remember you talking about that before.
Yep. I have a huge. I actually bought off of Amazon. They made a replica of the mace of Man at Arms, and it was executive replicas, I think, and it was like $500, and I got it dropped down to like 200 for like a minute, and I immediately bought it, and it's awesome, dude. It's the same weight, same size as a regular Man at Arms haber that I remember. It was so awesome.
Is that fairly new?
Yeah, it just came out 2-3 years ago, I think.
Yeah, I remember seeing
Yep.
that because they were
Yep.
talking about like it's the same weight, and you're
Yep.
like, yeah, that's what you want to give to a kid.
Dude, our generation is screwed. Like we were raised on like cartoons and toys, and that's why we love cartoons, and that's why we still love like toys and things. Like we grew up, it was rammed into our heads.
Yeah, but I think the next generation, it's just going to be different toys. It's going to
Yep.
be toys on, Fortnite, and my son is obsessed with playing Roblox. No, not Roblox. Not Roblox. What's the other one?
Oh, Minecraft.
Minecraft.
Yeah,
Like
my son, same thing.
he got into that like 10 years ago, and then he gets out of it, and then he's showing me all the stuff that he's building, and
Yep.
I'm like, you should
My
build
son
your-
was into. I bought him all the Minecraft toys. He loves toys. Like my son is. He's very much. He likes his video games, but he'll go play for like 2-3 hours with his toys, and he'll come in. He'll walk into the daddy room, and he'll want to touch my stuff, and I'm like, nope, you're not allowed to. You're too young. his grandfather sent him Godzilla from, I think it's the neck of Godzilla, and I'm like, yeah, you're not getting this until you're older. You're gonna rip, because he loves to take apart his toys. I'm like, stop. I gave him like 50 Marvel Legends. I'm like, stop taking apart Venom. Stop. Where's Monster Venom's back? You have two of them.
He's a kid basher.
No, the parts are just left. The guy's left apart. He's not. He likes taking them apart. He doesn't like putting them back together. He likes Minecraft. We just had Christmas, so he got Astrobot. He loves Astrobot. Yeah.
Now, how old is he?
He is 7.
He just likes taking them apart and just.
He loves Legos. He likes taking them. He likes playing with them. But next thing I know, like I'll give him. I stopped giving him Marvel Legends because of that, but I'll give him Marvel Legends. I gave him the 2 monster Venoms, and one was the BAF and one was the normal. And next thing I know, they're like totally apart. I'm like, what are you doing? Where's his back? It's like $100 figure. What are you doing?
This is going to be a scarred story as you get older when you start. So were there any other lines that you can remember being in love with?
So I'm gonna be a little sad here. So I was born in 77, so about 11 years old. My father actually passed away when he was 39 years old. He passed away from leukemia. He was never sick a day in his life. He went into the hospital the day after Thanksgiving, and he wasn't feeling right. He had been going to the doctor. He was working on telephone poles, an electrician, and he went to the doctor, and then a week and a half later he died. So he always said to my mom that he would never reach his 40th birthday. So my father died a couple days before Christmas. Okay. We had that Christmas. Obviously, wasn't a great Christmas. And then my birthday's in February. In February, my mom got me the Rolling Thunder, okay, for GI Joe. And to this day, which is why I made that Rolling Thunder video, I love the Rolling Thunder. I don't care if there's seats with guns, with anybody can shoot them. I don't care. I don't care. It's the Rolling Thunder. And that's why I love the Rolling Thunder. I love all of those figures from when the Rolling Thunder came out. I think that's the 88 line. So like Hit and Run, the second version of Storm Shadow, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
No, no, I believe me. I mean, that is the reason why, like, the USS flag that I have, like, it means so much to me because it was something that I had before my mom passed away. Um, and so yeah, it's one of those, like, you have those memories of that. Now yours was after your dad had passed away,
correct.
but like a lot of that stuff is because of what it meant to me before. Before,
Correct.
that, because again, I don't know how you were, but my whole life changed. It's hard for it not to be. And some people go in one way, and I was just like dead set. I wasn't gonna drink. I wasn't gonna do drugs. Most people would never be like that. And I watched a lot of my other friends that did lose parents that were the exact opposite.
Yeah.
So, and when's your birthday? What's the date?
February 20th is my birthday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So my my what was it? It's going in what you're talking about, like not drinking and doing drugs. My older brother was the perfect example for me not to do drugs and not to do the wrong thing, man. I mean, he's good now, but like he gave me a great example of not to follow. So I did not follow that. Plus, also some of the friends that I grew up with, um, later in high school weren't exactly great, and I actually stepped away from them, and they actually passed away when I was in high school. They actually got into a car accident, and
oof.
they like they held up. They're stealing cars and stuff, and like it was. I had a good sense of, like, my father always said to me, like, common sense isn't common, right? Even as a young kid, my dad would say that to me, and common sense is not common. And like that's the one thing I have a good sense of what to do and what not to do. So
No, and yeah, no, I think that's absolutely um that's amazing. Again, you see a lot of people, and I feel like you're more how I was. Like I took the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life, and you try to make it as positive as possible.
yep.
Where I watch a lot of other people, they use it as their excuse to, be shitbags, to do drugs, to drink
Yep.
and everything. Um, and I was like the exact opposite. And it sounds like you were the same way. Like you saw friends that like did that, and you're like,
Yep.
I'm gonna go this way and hang out with them, or hang out with these people because they're not. And that's how I was. My dad knew everyone that drank and did drugs, and he knew that I wasn't hanging out with them. That's why he probably gave me so much leeway. But I was always like, my dad has more than enough worries that he shouldn't have to worry about things that I'm doing. I
Correct.
feel like you seem like you're kind of the exact same way.
Yeah, my father passed away. My brother went off the deep end, and then we were raised like born again Christians, which I don't have anything to do with now. But and then I was like, I guess I was 13 years old, and I was told I was the man of the house, right? And so I had to take on the responsibility of my mom. We were on food stamps. My mom went to work. I took care of. I'm sure my brother and sister would say I probably didn't, but I tried to take care of them the best I could. I made some food, which made dinners, which weren't the greatest, but I would, I was like, again, I was like 15 years old at that time, or 14, 15. And then when I became 16 years old, I got a job working part-time at an electric store for like lights and stuff. But the reason why I say part-time is I was working like 35 hours a week. I was like a stock guy. I learned how to like put together lighting fixtures and everything like that. I was going to school. So yeah, and then I would give a portion of my my paycheck to my mom to help out. So I learned very early what responsibility was, just by being alive, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't a choice, right? I had to do it. End of story.
This is kind of like we were talking about it before we went on air. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it seems like kids that once they get thrown into something, that's kind of where like they step up.
Yep.
It's not, but not always. I mean, we see a lot of like. Sounds like your older brother really didn't. That he went the opposite way.
For a while, yep,
You know,
absolutely.
and a lot of people do. Again, like
It's funny. He went to like seminary school. He's like he works with like the Catholic priests and everything now. He's like completely different. But yeah, at the time,
how old was your brother when your dad died?
so I was 11, so 16, and this was in the 80s,
Yeah,
late 80s.
Again, I was 13. Like that's not old.
No.
You know, it's not old.
No.
Of we don't know. You know,
Yep.
there's. You know, I always. You know, when certain things happen. Let's say when a younger kid, deletes themselves. I don't want to say the word. Like
Mhm.
a lot of them don't realize like that's the end. Like there is no do over.
Yep.
You know, it's like, and I feel way different about that than adults that do it just because they want a way out. Uh, but as kids, like dealing with something like that, we don't know how to deal with it. I mean, most adults
No.
don't know how to deal with it.
No.
You know,
The
and I
one thing
worry
that
about
the one thing that came about from my father passing away at such an early age was obviously I was reinforced with certain things, but one of the things was like the worst thing that could happen happened to me, right? Like to me that was the worst thing. Like I lost my father, I didn't get to see my dad, and so anything else that happened to me like throughout the rest of my life, now that I'm older and I have kids, is different, but like up until all the way up until that point, like I was like nothing, you know what I mean? Like it's nothing can be worse than what happened to me.
it.
So
Yeah.
I can move forward.
Yes. And Patrick says it's not black. It's not just black and white. Some paths are darker than others. I get that, and again, I am not saying that I'm right or wrong. I'm just saying like I watched a lot of people go a whole nother path. But again, you're young, and normally you find your way back. You know, to where you should be. But you know, I've seen a lot of people that didn't lose parents that you think like you would have got out of that. Maybe serving one prison sentence would be enough for you, but it wasn't, and the second one wasn't enough, and the third one wasn't, and
Mm-hmm.
all right, well, it looks like you like it there.
Yep.
That's one place
Yep.
that I've actively tried to stay out of, and I've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, no, I'm not interested in that. Not at all.
All right, so you said you liked, you know, you liked your Motu. What other things other than that?
So
Did,
Motu, GI Joe, I was into Transformers, like the Dinobots. I loved. Um, again, it was like sporadic during that time, like Brave Star for like one. I remember I got like the whole set for Christmas because I think it was on sale at Service Merchandise. And then and then like all random like stuff, like everything from Mask to like just even some Dino Riders, and then even though I was a bit older, I was at the very beginning of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So
yeah.
like I had the very first Ninja Turtles, and that's actually why I bought. I'm gonna say something bad here. Super 7. I bought the Super 7 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Ultimates. I bought a whole bunch of them, like up until like I think it was Wave 3 I stopped. And then that's it. There was one more figure I want, which is coming out, which is going to be the Rat King, and then I'm done with everything for them. So, but yeah, so Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and again, it was like random stuff all over the place. And then again, when I was told I was man of the house, they actually took my toys away. So I was like 14 years old. And yeah, the guy was like, "Yep, you're too old to be playing with toys. You need to be the man of the house. You need to take care of stuff." So, I did what I had to do.
So I guess that kind of answers the question of as you went into middle school, you really didn't have toys then.
No, is
Because
what's crazy is
because
ru-
how old were you when your dad passed away?
I was 11.
11. Okay.
Yep. So because we were raised Christian, it was like the whole born again Christian thing in the late 90s, in the early 80s into the late 80s. We my parents got like the whole they got involved with, like, Jimmy Swaggart. Remember Jimmy Swaggart and like the whole the Love Foundation, or I forget what it's called. Shoot, Tammy Faye Baker and them. Remember Tammy
Yes.
Faye Baker? Okay, my parents, again, my mom and dad didn't have a lot of money, and I remember them giving $5,000 to the Heritage Fund or something because we were going to go there for a vacation. Well, that turned out to be a whole scam, right? So we lost all that money before my dad passed away. But yeah, I was 11 years old when my dad passed away, and I forgot what the question was. I apologize.
I asked how old you were when your dad passed away.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
I mean, the toys you said kind of went away, but then you go, but obviously not right away because you said you got the Rolling Thunder after.
Correct. It was about 14, I think about 14, 15 years old when I was told I was the man of the house, and
So
I
that's
had to get
basically
my
when
life
you're going
first.
into middle or going into high school.
That's what I was going to say. Correct. So from fifth grade until 11th grade, I was actually home taught.
Okay.
So I didn't go to high school until 11th grade. And I had to take all of my tests at the local public school. We had something from, it was called Liberty School or Liberty. We got the curriculum from. And so I would take my tests and everything, and I would learn from the books. And then when I was going into 11th grade, I told my mom, I'm like, I need to go to high school because I need to meet like people. So I went to high school 11th grade.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against homeschooling, but if you're homeschooling and you don't and your kids aren't out interacting with other people,
Mhm.
it's
Yep.
not a really good. I mean, it's not good for when it's time for them to leave. Except for I think a lot of people don't want their kids to leave. I
Correct.
am not one of those people. I'm not one of those people. If anyone was listening,
You guys can leave.
fucking freeloaders. So going into you go into high school, so
Yep.
2 years you're homeschooled.
Yep.
How was that interaction then going into high school for the first time? I mean, that is
So it was crazy because, again, the curriculum was Christian based, right? Had Christian portions of them.
okay.
But they so when I went to high school, they didn't accept my history that I had. I had everything up to 11th grade. I had all my studies and everything graded. But they said because they didn't accept the history, I actually had to go to global studies on the ninth grade level. So I was first year of high school, 11th grade, didn't know anybody, and they stuck me in ninth grade class. And this is in the early 90s. Can you imagine what it was like for me? It was not cool at all. I remember, but very specifically, my locker was next to, like, this is like a bad movie from the 80s, was next to the star quarterback's girlfriend. Okay. And I did nothing to her. I did nothing. And the whole football team hated me. Like, she said I did something. I'm like, I didn't do anything. And so that started down the road of me like having fights with like everybody in the school, and like I had my friends set. Yeah, so again, it was from 11th to 12th grade. It was rough in high school, but I'm glad I went through it. I'm very glad I went through it.
That girl was telling the star football player, dude, this guy's not even smart enough to get through 9th or 10th grade. This is his third time in the 9th grade.
Dude, I went to the global studies class, and the teacher was nice, and he looked at me and he's like, "Why are you in here?" And I'm like, I explained my situation to him. He's like, "All right, I'll make you a deal. You don't have to come to class. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is take the test when I tell you. And as long as you pass the test, you don't have to be in the class." So for 2 years for global studies, I had the agreement with the teachers that as long as I passed the tests that they had, I didn't have to go to the class because I knew everything what they were sticking me into 9th grade and 10th grade history class for. So
Largo says, Wraith, are you sure you weren't a character in a John Hughes movie?
dude, I don't know, dude. At the time, I feel like I was.
And you saw, I mean, it sounds like it because all I can picture is like Better Off Dead when he
Yeah.
when he pulls her skirt down and all of a sudden the whole basketball team is around.
Yup. Yep. I was telling you before, I got into one of the fights in high school I got into was because my friends didn't like the basketball players, and the basketball players were also the football team, which, by the way, our high school sucked at everything except for track. They were good at running away from challenges. So the football team was the basketball team. I remember this one particular guy was he did something to my friend, and right before the bell went off, he said something to me as I was walking by. I turned to punch him in the face. Right, it was me hitting him first, and he turned and I cracked him in the back of his head, and I pushed my knuckles at like probably a half an inch back, my bottom 2 knuckles, because I didn't know how to punch. Okay, so I hit him with the bottom knuckles, pushed him in. He got up, staggered. I was about to hit him again, and then I got rushed by like 3 or 4 guys. And you remember payphones? Well, they had a payphone in the lunchroom. Someone took it off of the hook because I was right next to it and slammed me in the face with it. I fell on the ground. Blood was gushing out of my face. And there was these 2 heavy metal doors, which were the entrance into the lunchroom. So there were no windows. So the bell rang right as the blood was coming out. And there's a whole pool of blood. And the doors open, and like 5 or 6 students just slipped and fell in the blood and got covered in blood. I swear, like, this is not a lie. As I'm telling this sounds insane. Oh God,
high school was awesome for you, is what you're saying.
Oh God, yeah, it was awesome. I'm glad, dude. I'm glad I went through it because I needed to have my experience with people and to understand like interactions and stuff, and that's really where I got it from. Like I already knew everything that I had to know from a academic perspective because of homeschooling. It does a great job of teaching you what you need to know from the books that they give you, but from human interactions and stuff, there's nothing better than someone going to school, especially in the late 90s, early 80s.
Tony says, Jesus Christ, Wraith. He's born again Christian. Please, you don't use God's name in vain there.
I'm not. I was not anymore. Big zero.
No, there is no religion talk. It's a joke. All right.
Nope.
Anyway, so as you're going through school, you're working full time.
Correct.
For the most part, right?
Yep.
So when you get to the point that it's time to graduate, how are you dealing with everything? I mean, if you're working, did you go off into, because you're obviously not. I mean, we kind of skipped. I didn't even bother. I didn't even have to ask you if you were still collecting toys. Were you collecting anything, or you? Sounds like you were just working.
Like no, I was working and playing basketball.
For your family.
I love basketball. I love Michael Jordan. I watched basketball all the time. I would dribble on my way to work. I would dribble a basketball to work. I would just go out to the like I was like that's the one thing with me. I guess it's because I never got tested, but I think I have ADHD. Like I am great when I can pinpoint on one thing and then like zero in on it, and I can also multitask. It's weird. But yeah, so I during the time of that stretch, no, I had no toys, nothing at all.
Okay. And you're not collecting anything. So after you graduated high school, did you go right into college, or did you go to college?
So I went because my father passed away. I got I forget what it's called, but I got help from the government and I went to community college.
They had that?
Yeah, they had, yep.
No one told me that.
I went to community college, and then at the time I moved out of my mom's house because I knew that I needed to at that time. I got a job, an additional job working at this other store. Well, actually, I'm sorry. I got a job working at a Babbage's store, which was eventually turns into GameStop. Okay, Babbage's and Software, etc. These were computer video game stores in the mall. Okay, I got a job at there. I quit the lighting store, got a job there, and then I also got a job doing bar backing at a local. It was called Sports Plus, but they had a restaurant and a bar upstairs. So I would go from my job at the store to the bar. I would bar back and whatever, and then I would also go to school.
So
And
did
then
you
I
have,
would play basketball at like 3 o'clock in the morning at like gyms.
so did you have time? I mean, other than you played basketball, so that's something. But did you have time to do anything else other than
Just
work
work,
and study?
basketball, and video games, really, because I was really into at that time, during this whole course of once I stopped playing with toys, I got into heavy into arcade games, right? Because our local
Okay.
pizza place would have like arcade games. So I got really, really into video games, and we had like a Nintendo at home. So that's where from toys everything went to video games, right? And so during that time when I was going to school, I was going to college. At Sports Plus, they had a huge arcade room, and so after I would bar back, I remember the security. Remember you drop the quarter into the machine, and it would like drop coins down, right?
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the night, the security guards would tip over the machines, and we take all the coins, right? So I would have like I would never not have like tons of quarters or coins to play the game. So I played arcade games, and then I got into the arcade scene of playing Street Fighter at that time in the late 90s. At that time it was like Street Fighter Third Impact. You probably don't know what I'm saying, but I'll just explain. Through Street Fighter Third Impact, Street Fighter Alpha 3, and they just came out with Street Fighter versus X-Men at that time. So they had like all the huge arcade machines at there. And I got really, really competitive into playing Street Fighter, working, going to school, and that's it.
I can see you being very competitive.
Competitive with myself. I actually had to stop playing Street Fighter a couple of years ago, because like I get real violent with myself. I like it, you don't understand, like in Street Fighter and especially Street Fighter, you sit in practice mode for hours, okay, perfecting combos, perfecting specific things. Like you have to pull it off. You have to pull off your combo when the opportunity is right. And when you drop a combo, they call it dropping a combo because you didn't finish it. It's very frustrating. So I had to stop playing Street Fighter after my son was born because I was getting very violent with myself. I'd like punch the controller. I'd like hit myself with the controller. I'm like, all right, I'm done. No more Street Fighter. I'm done.
No, I get it. I realize like I'm a very competitive person. I try not to let it out too much. I try and keep it under control, and I think that's why like skateboarding was perfect for me. I had no one to compete with. I didn't compete with other people. I had myself to compete with. If I would have been in team sports, I would have been awful. If I was, um, competing, like going, like Street Fighter or something like that. Even when we play video or like board games, we're all very competitive, and you could see it, and it's like this could be a really ugly side of me.
Yep. Yep.
I like to compete with myself. It makes it much easier when it's all said and done. So, what did you go to? What did you go to school for?
I went to community college for criminal justice. I was actually planning on being a cop.
Okay, and how did that work out for you?
So I passed the test. I actually did really good on the test, but then because they said that a lot of people who took this prep course essentially were given the answers, and actually it's the prep course I took. They discounted the test, and they did not count the test, and they didn't do hiring for. There's a hiring freeze for new cops for 4 years. So in Suffolk County at the time, there were some of the highest paid cops in the United States. It was like $90,000 to $100,000 back then, and so they did not hire any cops. So I had to go into Plan B, and which was just work. Really, I didn't know at the time. I was like 20 something, 21 years old or something, and so I I think the store I was working at, Babbage's, became GameStop. Um, and then I became a store manager when I was like 20, 21 years old. And of the of the video game store, and I wound up being a manager of the store. And I wound up actually hiring all my friends because I was worried about people stealing from myself. Spoiler, they still stole from me. But
I
being
don't want to say
listen,
that, but I thought maybe you didn't realize it. But
no. And what's funny is you could take out video games for like a week at that time, right? You take out one video game for working there. I would let the guys just take out the video games forever. Like until we had one left in stock, I would call them up and be like, guys, like, dude, like you have to bring the game back. We would have like I have so many stories from working out there, but one of the things is we would do like twice a year, they had like inventory of the whole store. Well, inventory in my store was we brought in these we had arcade sticks, just like the arcade. They were called Moss sticks. They were modded exactly like the Japanese arcade cabinets. They were the official Japanese buttons. We'd have them up on the right where the register was, and you'd play. And if you lost, you had to go count. Okay. Our counts were horrible because nobody, we always had to do recounts. So up until like 3 o'clock in the morning, we're doing inventory. It was good. I will say this. It was probably the toughest job I've ever had because being a retail store manager, worrying about theft, worrying about shrink, worrying about inventory, worrying about sales, worrying about like you had to worry about so many things. And that was probably one of the best experiences from a work experience because I got to understand so many different sides of it. So
especially it's still a pretty young age.
yeah,
I mean,
I was the
it's still-
youngest store manager that they had at the time. I was just turned 20, and they made me a store manager of like a $2 million store in Long Island.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It was crazy, dude. And I remember going to we had managers conferences, and at the managers conference they would have they'd call them vendor nights. So Capcom would be there and like big vendors of different video games. And I remember going to like my first one being so excited, and then I went there and I saw all the managers of the stores were like in their like 40s, and I'm like, okay, I can't go anywhere else. Like I'm gonna have to like stop being a store manager and figure something else out. And what was funny is I was making good money then too. I was making like $32,000 back in like I was 21 years old.
God, how many hours were you working?
So I worked 40 hours. I worked 40 hours, and then during Christmas time you would work an additional day, so 6 days a week. So you're working a good amount of time.
All right. So did you end up going back to school, or
No.
did you just kind of? All right. So everything from there you've just kind of fallen into.
Correct. I fell into being a store manager. Then I wound up, like I said, I went to the managers conference, realized that if I want to have a real good career or something for myself, I need to stop being a store manager. Then I quit being a store manager, got a job working as a project manager for a telecommunications company in New York City. Okay. And I thought I had made it. I'm like, I'm working on Wall Street. I'm doing the thing. My friends were working with me. And then I hated it. I hated it. I hated it. And like you literally would come into the office and right down by Water Street in New York City, and like you wouldn't do anything. Like I left between 10 o'clock in the morning and 11 o'clock in the morning. I would like try not to fall asleep at my desk, and they were like, just chill out, don't worry. I'm like, this is boring. Like I can't do this. This is horrible. So I had that job for about a year. I think about a year, and then I quit it a week before 9/11. Dude,
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Yeah, so we were talking about this before we went on air because I don't even know how it came up.
Yeah,
because I got laid off on Friday. 9/11 happened then.
That's right. I saw that.
Now you explain to everyone where you would have been.
So I was telecommunications manager, and because I was new, they gave me a project for World Trade Center to run fiber through, actually, it wasn't 8 feet, it was 80 feet of concrete. They gave it to me because they knew it would never happen, right? They were just like, okay, just go to talk to the building manager every week, try to schmooze him to give you, try to get somewhere with it, right? So I think it was every Monday morning, I would go to the cafeteria area, meet my friend who also worked in World Trade Center 1, and we'd have lunch, and then I'd go try to talk to the manager of the building manager for World Trade Center, and then that was my thing. Like every Monday I would go. So I had a project at 4 World Trade Center.
So you probably would have been there on 9/11.
Very close to, yeah. The week before 9/11 hit, again, I was working down on Water Street, right across from One York Plaza, if you've been in New York City. And most likely I definitely would have been in the building of Water Street, or I probably would have been maybe passing by when 9/11 happened, because it happened early enough in the morning. And then my best friend, he actually worked, like I said, in One World Trade Center. He was late to work that day, and he came up out of the subway and he saw the building coming down, and he just went back in the subway. I'm not going to work today.
You may have to call in, I guess. Not that I think that's funny, but we actually talked about that earlier too, and that's crazy. Like I said, I was, as I told you, I was with a different girl at the time. I took her son to school, and I was listening to the sports radio station, and they were talking about how a plane hit the trade towers, and it was before anyone knew anything. They thought it was like a passenger plane. I got home and I was watching it, and as I was watching it, I saw the second plane hit the second tower, and in my head I went, "Wow!" They said they didn't have footage of it. And then I went, wait a minute, the other one's on fire. And it was like, as that thought left my mind, the person goes, well, we can assume this wasn't an accident now.
Yep.
And it's so surreal to think about. But to be there, you're in the area.
Yeah, all my friends were in the city that day when the planes hit. And it's weird. Like I remember I was at home because we rented a house with me and 2 of my friends who worked at the place in the city, and I quit my job. Essentially, they laid me off. They gave me a package because they were letting punch people go. And I said, I'll take the package. And then I remember waking up that morning, the night before, I had HBO on. By the way, guys, if the world is ending and HBO is on, they'll never let you know, because HBO was on. I was watching a movie, and the World Trade Centers came down, and like my friend called me, and he's like, "Dude, can you believe this happened?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" And all of a sudden, like jets were coming over, like in Long Island. You could hear like jets come over, like overhead. I walk out on the banister, and I'm like, "What's going on?" I changed HBO finally, and I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, it's even today. This is like, it's surreal to even think about the fact that and I was saying, yeah, I've told my kids, I go, 9/11 it's our Pearl Harbor. It's, it was the only other, we hadn't been attacked on home, on our home turf since Pearl Harbor. And it was something that happened and ended. And I remember my son when the pandemic first hit, and he was little, and he said, and this was maybe 6 months into it, and he goes, is this like 9/11? And I said, what do you mean? And he goes, well, is this like 9/11 because of all the stuff that's happening? I go, no. I go, 9/11 happened. Like 9/11 happened, and it was over in a day. And within 3 weeks, they were deploying. I go, we're like 6 months into this thing, and we don't know when it's going to end.
Correct.
You can't compare the two because, and I don't even mean to say like 9/11 was so much worse. That pandemic just went on and on and on. We're like Pearl Harbor, it happened in 45 minutes, it's over. 9/11 was very similar. I'm like, this is fucking not ending.
You gotta remember,
goddamn pandemic ain't ending.
Nope. when 9/11 happened, it was an aura of, I wouldn't say invincibility for America, but it was like we're never going to be touched. We'd always hear about stuff happening,
Yeah.
and we the closest was the bombing in one of the towers in 9/11. If you remember the van years before that was the closest we ever came to anything. But like 9/11 was on it was an Armageddon level for America, as far as it changed how we thought about the rest of the world. Is the easiest way to say it.
And it changed other people too, because people went, "Wow, if they can do that to them."
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
And again, I don't, we've gone down sad paths or on the show before. Not really where I like to go, but it is something that it was very interesting. The fact that I'm assuming you looked outside and there's no way you couldn't have seen smoke, right? I mean,
Yeah, well, no, I was far enough away where Suffolk County is like the middle of Long Island, so I couldn't see smoke or anything. But again,
okay.
all my friends were trapped in the city that day, and so all of them came home covered in soot. All of them came home, like some of them had to walk across the Brooklyn Bridge to get home. Like it was just a crazy, crazy day.
Yeah. I mean, again, it was crazy for us, here in Michigan and everywhere else, but not anything like what anyone in that area. And again, it's awful to think about. So, all right. So let's go on to something happier. Um, as we took it down a somber path. So as you're working at this, at this store, are you collecting anything?
So
when did you start collecting again?
So remember this past year when I bought the Rancor? Remember? Okay. So what happened was, I was at the store manager at GameStop when it changed over to GameStop, and they started to get toys in. And some of the toys that they got in and started to sell was the reissue of the Star Wars figures. I was like, oh, I was never really into Star Wars figures. I knew about the movies and I liked the movies, but I was more into G.I. Joe and He-Man and stuff. So I started to collect like the figures just because they were in my store. And I remember we got the Rancor in and nobody bought it. And it just stayed up on the shelf for like a couple months. I was like, you know what? I want that. So I just put it into the back room, waited for it to be pennied out. So anybody who's worked at GameStop understands what I mean by pennied out. What it essentially means is there's like no more stock in any of the stores, and they send you the SKUs, all the numbers of these particular items that are now taken out of stock, and they're all marked as a penny. So you put them into your system, you mark them as a penny. I paid a penny back then for Rancor. So so at that time, that's when I started to collect some action figures again. Yes.
So you made up for it last year.
Oh yes.
Yes. You made up for that penny
with that awesome video.
Thank you for doing that too. Like, you're the one.
It was so much fun.
You were the one that was like, well, we're talking about it, and you're like, I'm gonna get the Rancor. And we're like, no, like a $5-10 figure, and you're like, and then we talked you into getting the Rancor Keeper.
Yeah,
like, you can't have the Rancor without the Rancor Keeper.
Can't have the Rancor without the Rancor Keeper.
Dude, I gotta start thinking about what we're gonna do, because it's coming. May's coming pretty quick. So
I have an idea. Warhammer.
No, we have to continue to Star Wars. It's May.
Oh yeah, that's right.
May. It's May the power of the Force.
I'll somehow fit Warhammer into there.
I'm thinking about episode 1 figures, or those figures that they did. Episode 1, episode 2, maybe episode 3. I gotta talk to Allison about it, and I think I kind of was the one that decided what toys we were gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
Again, there's a lot of different ones, but I want to pick something where it's all centralized. And again, I like doing older stuff because some people whine and cry about it, that people review old toys. How dare we? So you got, it sounds like you kind of got the collecting bug then.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I
Now,
also got something else called massively MMORPGs. Is anybody in the chat who knows what I'm talking about? I actually couldn't type. Remember in school they had typewriting classes. Remember
Yep.
that? I didn't go to that. I was supposed to, but I wish I did because I couldn't type. So I was the manager of the store, and I was on the keyboard with finger typing. And one of my friends introduced me. I was big into video games. Was like, you have to try this game out. It's called EverQuest, and I was like, what is that? And he explained it to me. I was like, that sounds terrible. But then all of a sudden I started playing it. So EverQuest essentially was the first online role playing game where you played a character and you play with other people. And to me, who grew up playing video games, anytime that you wanted to play with someone else, you either had to have a second player game and a second controller. And God forbid you had a 4-player game and you needed the 4-player controller thing to stick into your system. And all the 4-player games sucked. So the fact that you could play with other people was insane to me. So playing the MMORPG, I actually learned how to type from that.
okay. K Macy says the year is 2025. Your date is 2024. Thank you. I fixed it. That's why I wasn't paying attention. I'm like, all right, sorry. Sorry, I screwed up two days into the year. It's gonna happen again.
Shame on you. I know that just like a lot of people, now that it's 2025, I'm still gonna write 2024 subconsciously on all my shit for work. I know it.
Hey, Tony's Thursday with a friend is spelled wrong, so he's like, he's like, you're not gonna fix it. I'm like, nope. So I think I left out one of the R's. But thank you, I appreciate it. Like, but hey, in my defense, I did write it in 2024. So anyway, so how long did you stay at this GameStop?
So I stayed, like I said, I stayed at the GameStop until shit, I think it was it was a year before 9/11, and then I worked at the place in New York City. I quit that place. I actually went back to GameStop couple after I quit, and I worked there for a couple of years. Worked at the GameStop again, which was kind of humiliating because I quit as a store manager and went back as an assistant manager for like a year or two. And then after that, I went. My friend called me one day, who was my best friend. He worked at GameStop with me, and he was like, I still remember this. He called me. And he's like, "Would you like to have a job working for working on technology and stuff?" And I was like, "Yes, get me out of here, please." So I wound up working for Sun Microsystems before it became Oracle, and that's how I got on the whole technology type of career path that I was on for the past 20 years until recently when I changed my career. So yeah. So that's why I worked at Sun Microsystems. I got certified in Solaris. I worked in New York City. I worked for Morgan Stanley for a very long time in 1585 Broadway, so right in Times Square. I moved to Brooklyn. I met my wife there. She lived in Brooklyn. What else? Yeah, so that was the whole technology. Like I went from working at GameStop to working in technology and fixing servers and systems for. I first started out working fixing servers under traders' desks. They call them pizza boxes at the time, and yeah, I would fix like machines and stuff like that. And then I eventually transitioned into working in the data center. So.
Mr. Wonderful says, also to be clear, EverQuest was not the first MM.
I know it wasn't. Listen, all right.
Ultima was before it. Wait a minute. But it was the first with a 3D gaming.
Yes.
Hey, Travis,
yes.
How about you go make that fucking commercial that I asked for about, I don't know, 6 or 7 months ago? Since you're all AIing all the time, go do that for me. Oh, wait. Do it without AI, though. How about that? I'll wait another 6 months.
I didn't get into Ultima just because at the time it didn't appeal to me. Like he's correct. The 3D engine of EverQuest, we'd never seen anything like that before.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the movie Bolt?
Is that the dog one? Yes.
Yes. You remember when the cat
Yes.
looks over and he's like, I was like, yeah, sure. Now I'm bored. I play that to my kids. That's what I'm like when I hear Travis. I need to get that. I'll get demonetized for it, but it'll be worth it.
Oh my god.
I know. I'm surprised he hasn't called me yet to say, "Hey, are we cool?" Like he'll text me like, "Are we cool?" Like you didn't respond to me like 3 minutes after I messaged you. Like, is everything good? Yeah, Travis, we're fucking fine. Other than the goddamn name is Travis. All you fucking travesties. So now I'm just attacking all Travises. So anyway, did you ever? I know you are now, but is there a specific thing that you? Is there a specific thing that you collected? Do you get stuck on one thing, or are you just kind of like, I picked this up, I picked that up, or?
So when I really got back into collecting, I was working as a server technician, and I think that this was 2009, or yeah, I think it was 2009. I was watching YouTube, and because I worked the overnight shift, I worked the graveyard shift at Morgan Stanley for like 3 years, and I remember watching late night Pixel Dan, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" And he showed a Masters of the Universe Man at Arms figure, okay, and the Masters of the Universe Classics, and I was like, "Wait, what?" They re-upped like the figure that I remember as a kid up until like how we actually thought it looked when we were kids, right? So I was hooked, right? I was watching his videos. I went on and I bought a ton of the Masters of the Universe Classics figures, and that's what got me back into collecting.
So Motu Classics is what got you into
Mhm.
everything that you're into now.
Yeah, I started to as I got into Motu Classics, then I saw that they had made Marvel Legends, and I was like, I'm a huge Punisher fan, so I was like, oh well, I gotta get the Punishers. I'll get just a couple to keep on my desk. Oh, now I need a Wolverine to keep on my desk. Look at that Juggernaut looks awesome. I gotta get the Juggernaut. Gotta have him. Next thing I know, we're in Brooklyn. I have a tiny apartment, and my fiance, who became my wife, is like, what are you doing? We don't have room.
All right, so let me back. When did you meet your? I'm assuming when you say your fiance, you mean your current wife.
Your wife,
now.
yep.
So when did you meet her?
So she grew up in Brooklyn her whole life, and then I met her in 2007 when I moved to Brooklyn for the job, working in New York City for Morgan Stanley. So so that's when I met her. I actually have a pretty cool story. We I had gone out the night before to Spanish Harlem with my friend who came up from Florida, and I struck out the whole night with all these girls. And in Brooklyn, there were this particular area that she lived in. I went to that next morning, which was Saturday. We went to like a local restaurant or whatever, and I remember sitting down with my friend, and this girl walked in, and I had dated the I dated the owner's daughter, so I knew all the waitresses there. So this girl walked in who turned out to be my wife, and I turned to the waitress, and she came. I'm like, whatever she's eating, I want to buy her meal, right? And so she walked up to my wife and was like, he wants to buy your meal. And so my wife looked at me and she's like, he's weird. So that's how we met. So then from there, she gave me her phone number. Thank God it was real. And then, yeah, from there we hit it off.
And what year was that?
2000, I think it was 2007, 2006. Yep.
So, are you collecting when you meet her?
No, I was heavily into something called, I know Frostbite will know this one, World of Warcraft. I went from EverQuest to Asheron's Call and some other MMOs, and then I went to WoW. And thank goodness, my wife would probably kill me for saying this, but she's into games too, and so she got into World of Warcraft. And at this time it was vanilla or the original World of Warcraft, before any of the expansions came out. So that's what I was heavily into.
And Frostbite says, "No, don't say its name."
Oh, I was always into like collecting comic books and video games. And so the toys, like once they started coming out with cool stuff, um, I really transitioned. Like I said, I saw that Pixel Dan video about Man at Arms, and I was like, holy shit, that's really what started me on this whole it's nice to see them. Yeah, I don't know how it works. I don't know how. I definitely.
I can't speak for everyone, but I'd be worried that I wouldn't have enough to cover whatever they order. I'd be like, oh shit. I don't have that much money. I thought it was like a $20 meal.
Yeah, but I definitely hit above my average with my wife. So like I said, she's 7 years younger than me. And yeah, we just hit it off. And like I said, at the time, I wasn't collecting toys. I still had the Star Wars figures, but I had them in that I got from when I was working at GameStop, and I had them in a box though, like really well put together. And actually, the one I forgot to mention was when I was collecting the Star Wars figures at GameStop, Star Wars Episode 1 came out. So I was part of that crew that went to that Saturday night before, when Toys R Us had the special opening, and when I bought a ton of the Star Wars Episode 1 figures, and I still had them packed with all of those Star Wars figures. Was it Star Wars? I forgot what the Star Wars line was called when they came out, when they were all like hulked up. That we just did the
Force.
Power of the Force.
May the power of the Force came from.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So I did have toys, but they were packed away.
So she couldn't see them yet.
No.
But you said she's a gamer.
Yeah, she's into games. She'll play. Even now, she plays World of Warcraft, and she plays her Sims games and other games and stuff like that. So she plays. She's getting into D&D. She likes Baldur's Gate. She likes trying to run a Dungeons and Dragons, like DM an actual Dungeons and Dragons. So that was pretty fun.
So that's a little bit easier if you do get into collecting toys or whatever, because she kind of has that weird niche too.
Yep.
That itch to obviously, maybe playing games isn't collecting, but it really seems like it's on the same path. Like you kind of understand what's going on or why somebody would. Where I know, like my ex, she doesn't collect anything. She has no hobbies whatsoever. So nothing I ever did, especially after, but before, I didn't really do much other than raise my kids when we were together. She doesn't understand. She understands. She can't say much to me now because she knows that it's actually making money to pay for it. So it's like, hey, sorry, but guess what? I actually do make some money, so I can pay for all this stuff. So she can't say too much these days. Not that she has a choice anyway, because she's my ex. But when my son kind of gets aggravated, she's like, "Yeah, it's kind of making money there." So, well, whether it's not being called a nerd or not, you still have to justify it, or you have to find a way to justify it to your significant other. So she was. So I take it when you started collecting, when you started picking up toys, she kind of understood the reason how it happened.
Sort of, yes. She was. We were saving for a wedding, and I was sitting here buying Master of the Universe classics. So probably wasn't the bad that I got a custom figure of my World of Warcraft figure at the time in Master of the Universe Classic, so that didn't go too well. So yeah, so.
Largo says, "My ex didn't mind if I bought toys as long as I let her buy shoes." Yeah, I want to make fun of those.
Like
Yeah, I want to make fun of people that are what are the shoe collectors called?
Oh, the sneakerheads.
Yeah, sneakerheads. I want to make fun of them, but who am I? Who am I to make fun of
No.
anyone for spending money on stuff that is useless?
Mm-mm. Yeah, look behind me.
it's, it's- it's not even a tenth of all the shit I have. Plus, you
Yep.
can't see all the stuff up top there.
Yep.
All right. So you said you're living in a tiny place in Brooklyn,
Yep.
and Marvel Legends and Motu Classics are taking over your house, your apartment.
Yep.
How does that go? Like,
Not great.
you
It's we're saving for a wedding. We actually got married in Vegas.
that
We had a whole wedding out in Vegas. It was actually fun. We flew
were you
people out there.
while you were looking at it, like saving, and you're looking at all those toys, you're like, how would you feel about Elvis marrying us?
Dude, flying to Vegas, having a wedding at one of the really nice hotels was actually cheaper than having the wedding in New York. It was crazy. Like
Well,
it's so
everything's cheaper than in New
expensive.
York, other than maybe
Yeah.
California.
Yep. Yep. So to answer your question, it was tough because again, I think one of the things was I was working a lot of hours. I was working the graveyard shift 4 days a week at Morgan Stanley, and essentially we were like, she would go to work and I would be coming home, so we would just pass each other. I remember my landlord one time was like, literally, you guys are like strangers in the night. I would be coming home. I would be returning at like 7 o'clock in the morning from work. She would be going to her work at 7 o'clock in the morning. So,
So now we know why you were so old when you had your first kid.
mhm. Yep.
I guess it kind of makes sense there.
Yep.
So how long are you together before you just like? Did you guys plan on having kids, or was it just kind of?
When we got married, we definitely planned on having kids together. We wanted to do it at the right time. We definitely, when we decided to try to have kids, we immediately had our son, and then we decided it was too small in Brooklyn, so we moved upstate New York. We got a house up here. Um, and that was in 2018. It's so funny with the prices and like inflation. Like we bought our house like over it was a little under 300,000 at the time, and I remember like getting a mortgage, and I was like, I don't know how the hell I'm going to pay for this. And now my house is worth double what we originally paid for it, and it's not that long ago. It's, it's
But you can't move
no.
because
Well, we are gonna move. We are gonna look for a new house in this year, the end of this year. But we're gonna move more north of where we are right now, and we'll look for a house there for
okay, yeah.
cheaper. Yeah.
But I was gonna say like you can't sell your house and move in the same area because now
No,
everything's
no,
more
no, no, no,
expensive
no.
anyway. You know, it's
Yeah, we're gonna have to move. We're gonna have
like
to
my
move
house is
north.
worth way more. We bought it when Andrew was one. You know,
Yep.
so yeah, I have equity in this. But I'm like, if I bought it, I'm gonna I'm gonna have a bigger mortgage moving into a place that's a little bit bigger, and eventually I do want to move. I don't know why. It's not only me. It's like I can't get one kid to leave, and the other one's not old enough to kick out yet. But it's like the scary thing. It's like, dude, even if I like get money out of this, how the money you got to put into a new home? Unless it's a brand new home, which then is outrageous. There's always stuff that you have to
Oh,
take care of.
100%. 100%. I can go into the tons of stuff that we've done with this house.
You know.
But this house was built in 98, and like we have put a lot of money into this house. So, but yeah, so we had our first kid, my son, in 2018. We moved right when he was born. We actually we moved and we bought the house the next day, right? So we signed the final. So we had my son, and then I think 2 days later we had to sign the papers for the house, and then my wife stayed in the house in Brooklyn for a day after she came home from the hospital, and then we moved upstate. And her mom also lives upstate, So we actually stayed with her mom for like the first 2 months while I was fixing up the house, painting the inside of the house, and yeah, that was it. So my son didn't really he didn't spend many of his infant life many days in Brooklyn. So
Yeah, living with your father-in-law or mother-in-law in your case isn't a lot of fun. Even though
my
I love my
actually my
father-in-law,
mother-in-law is great, dude. I love my
I,
mother-in-law.
I love my ex's dad. To this day, he's wonderful to me. But like we had to live there, and he lived in a condo, and
Good.
her daughter basically already had she already had a room. We we had just had Andrew, so he slept in the room with us, and it was his room, and he's like, I'll just sleep in the basement. So
Mm.
he let us have the room. It was just a 2 bedroom condo. He slept in the basement, and I mean, it was nice because it was the same condo complex that I grew up in. So we'd go to the pool, and because it was all throughout the summer, so it ended up turning out, but it's not the ideal circumstance of what you want.
No, I mean, listen, after 2 months, I love my mother-in-law and she loves me, but we were both we can move out. We have to move
It's
into our own place. We're paying a mortgage on it. Let's go. What's funny is so I stopped working at Morgan Stanley. I worked at another large financial company, and it was in New Jersey. And so when we moved up to upstate New York, it doubled my miles I was driving. So to get to work, I would have to drive 85 miles in one direction and 85 miles in the other direction. So it was about 2.5 hours driving on a highway and highway miles. And I was driving, my brother gave me his PBA card, and I was driving. Sometimes I was driving like 90 to 100 miles an hour. And so during this whole time, and this is kind of going into the brain tumor thing, throughout my whole life, I always had these really debilitating headaches. I'd really get these horrible migraines, and I would be at work sometimes. Like I remember one time I was driving home from work, and I lost sight in my left eye while I was driving, and the pain, like it was the sort of pain that I would have would be like you would aspirin wouldn't work, Tylenol wouldn't work, Advil, nothing worked. The only thing I could do was get home, go into the shower, take a dark shower for like 3 hours, and just sit in the water, and then I would hopefully be able to lay in my bed and go to sleep and not have the headache when I woke up the next morning. I went through my whole life like this. Okay. I just thought it was normal. I was
how
like,
how
yeah.
often would it happen?
I would say once to twice, yeah, once a week.
Wow.
Yeah, once a week. And so my career, I tried after when we decided to have my son, I really started to concentrate on my career, right? So I decided I was like, you know what? I was working at this one place, Morgan Stanley. I really need to take the step forward and really make money, right? I really need to make money at this point. So it was tough because I would get these debilitating headaches at work, and I was a manager of a data center, and I would just have to sit up in the dark room in our data center and just deal with it. And then I was managing guys and so on and so on. Like it was tough. So during this whole time, like, I was driving back and forth to work, like it aged the crap out of me, dude. Like we had my son, I didn't see my son that much when we had my son. My wife was with him most of the time. Most of the time I was driving, I was traveling, I would work on the weekends. I was trying to make as much money and move forward in my career as I possibly could. Because I don't know about you, but after having a kid, like something changes in you. Something changed in me, and I was like, I just got to make as much money as I possibly can.
Nope, I was not like that at all. No, I mean it. Like I remember telling my ex, I said, because she quit her job and then found out she was pregnant the next day.
Oh wow.
And I just remember saying, like, if we can make it, I would rather you be home with him than him be at some daycare and them see all the firsts. I'd rather you. She ended up working for the company that I work for now, just under the table for She worked under the table, and then later on she ended up working from home. It was still always under the table until we split up, and she gave the owner an ultimatum, and he didn't like that, and I got blamed for it by her. But I'm like, I didn't do it. You did it.
Well, one thing
But
I forgot to mention was when I worked in New York City, I actually I took acting lessons. I went to acting lessons at this place called HB Studio. Did that for like a year. Decided didn't want to do anything more in acting, and then I went to Gleason's gym in Brooklyn, New York, and I started doing boxing for about a year and a half, and I was training for the Golden Gloves. So I was doing all this. I was really good in shape, and that's when I met my wife. And then I stopped everything else, and I just spent time with my wife.
well, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yep.
I don't want to spend that much time with anyone.
But yeah, I just going back. So I had my son. We like I said, it was 2018. I was working a ton. Then I switched jobs. Then I switched jobs again. Kept trying to move up the ladder, different company, and then I found this where I work now, a great company. And then COVID happened. And when COVID happened, everybody started working from home. And to this day, I'm still working from home. And because I was able to work from home, when I would get the headaches, it was easy for me to recover from it because I had the shower right there. I would be able to lay down sometimes at work, and my career just took off because I was a hard worker. The only thing that ever held me back was really, not being able to not saying complete projects, but like, I wasn't able to put totally everything into my work. But because of COVID, I shot up the ranks of the company with which when I work for a large financial company now, an international financial company, and I wound up working in many different departments. And to this day, I'm actually not doing anything in technology. I'm actually a certified fraud investigator for financial crimes, and that's what I do. I'm certified. It's crazy, dude. Like I always tell people, you never know what you're going to do or what opportunities you're going to get. You just have to keep doing the best you can, and you never know what's going to come your way. You just have to be open for an opportunity. I took jobs when I was working at this company to help out the help desk team. And I worked at the help desk team years and years ago when I first started my career. But I was like, you know what? Great. I'll go under a desk. I'll help you guys out. I'll do whatever I need to do. And then people saw that I was willing to do whatever. They gave me more and more opportunities to the point now where, geez, like I said, I've I go to fraud conferences. I talk with the FBI. Like it's insane. It's really insane.
Wow. So you have your kid right before the pandemic starts.
Yep.
Which is, I've mentioned it. I love the pandemic. It sounds awful. We didn't work a lot. It was all under the table. Plus, we were getting all that extra money. But the time that we spent, like I got to spend with the kids, it was a unique time. I know it sounds awful because a lot of people lost loved ones, and I don't mean it like that. But the quality time, because when everyone says, "Oh, people were going crazy because they can't do anything," that was bullshit. No one was locked in their house. You could go out. You could go do things, and we did stuff like that. I hated that people said that. I'm like, no, what world are you living in? Like,
correct.
We can go do whatever we need.
COVID was a boon for my career, dude. Like it completely changed. Like as far as like my career trajectory, where I was trying and I was trying and I was trying, and then COVID happened. And I got a job working for a company where we work from home, and my career took off.
So now, what are you collecting during all of this?
So, all right. I'm still collecting Master of the Universe classics. I started collecting GI Joes because of what is his name? So Cobra the Cobra Commander guy who just quit YouTube a year ago. I forgot his name.
Hoodie Cobra Commander.
Hooded Cobra Commander. And who was the other gentleman who just his name is Kevin? He's a Canadian GI Joe guy. He just came back to YouTube.
Form
BX527. So I saw his videos about GI Joes, and I was like, shit, I got to get back. So I started buying like vintage GI Joes, not crazy, but here and there. And then I would buy like the modern GI Joes, and so I bought a bunch of those. So I was collecting still Master of the Universe classics. I actually pre-bought during that time the Snake Mountain from Super 7 because Super 7 got the license. So I pre-bought the Snake Mountain. By the way, the figures they came out with sucked. They were horrible. Fangor and some of the other characters, the quality of the plastic that those first initial releases were terrible. But during that time, like I said, I was collecting Motu, some GI Joes, and shit, just random stuff, to be honest with you.
So nothing in particular, just stuff that you saw that looked cool.
Yep.
And so it's during so we're in COVID here.
Yep.
Which everyone had extra money, it seemed.
Yep.
Everyone had extra money. You're collecting things here and there. When did you start your YouTube channel, or did you?
Just this year. It was really this year, to be honest with you. I know that the channel says it was started in like 2018 or something like, but I didn't start uploading videos realistically until like that one video that I did in like March, and then I took a little bit of a break, tried to figure out what I wanted to do, and then I had the surgery, and then after the surgery, I just really got into the YouTube thing.
All right, so I want to go back to your diagnosis.
Sure.
When did you find out? First off, kind of explain what, because I don't even fully know. I mean,
sure.
You told me what it was, but when did you find out about this? Because
sure. So in 2023 and actually during COVID, I got into really, really good shape, right? Because you work, it couldn't go anywhere. You really didn't go anywhere. Like I would just work out. I bought like boxing equipment in my garage, and I started boxing again and lifting weights. So I got in really good shape, and I would go to my physician, my primary healthcare physician, and I remember in 2023, she was like, "Your like cholesterol's great, like everything is amazing." She's like, "Is there anything wrong? Like is there anything you want to talk about? Anything that's bugging you?" I'm like, "Well, I get these headaches." And she's like, "Have you ever gotten an MRI?" Now this was 2023 in October. Okay. And she's like, "Have you ever gotten an MRI on your brain?" And I was like, "No, and I've never gotten an MRI." She's like, "Would you like to get one just to rule?" I'm sure nothing is there. She's like, "Just to rule it out." And I'm like, "Okay, sure." Now my wife, who also works in healthcare, she's like, "Don't go for the MRIs. They're just trying to like pump you for money." And I'm like, "No, I'd really like I don't like." The thing about the headaches is I feel bad because I've missed family outings, and I feel like people think I was like trying to duck things, right? Because I would get these horrible headaches. And I felt like my wife was like my headaches were like a lot of times bullshit. I felt like that's what she felt like. And so I was like, "No, I really need to go for this MRI because I don't know what's wrong." Like I've tried dietary things. Like I always thought it was my diet. I thought it was soda, etc. I'm like, I really get these horrible headaches still. And now they've dramatically pulled back. It went from once a week to once a month, but I still get them. And so I went for the MRI in November. And I remember my doctor, I was coming back from the company party last December. I think it was December 14th. She called me when I was driving back. I was driving through New York City. And she's like, do you have time to talk? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, so we found something on your MRI. It's nothing to worry about. She's like, we found some spots. We found some things. I would like you to see a specialist. and to to rule out some stuff. And I'm like, what? Like what? So Christmas happens last year. January, I go to see a person who specializes in brain stuff, and she looked at the woman looked at the X-ray, and she's like, I need you to get an MRI with contrast. So essentially, it's an MRI, and they give you like an ink, and it like makes the MRI easier to see, or particular areas it will highlight. She's like, because I'm a little bit worried about what I'm seeing here. I'm like, she didn't explain any more than that, so I went to the doctor, got an additional MRI with contrast this time. She looked at the imaging, and she's like, all right, she's like, you have something called a meningioma. Okay. The meningioma is, and Matt will know this, between your skull and your brain, there's a spongy layer, okay, of cells, and it's called a meningioma. And what happens sometimes in that layer of cells is there's a lot of mutations that happen, okay, just because it's a weird area. But essentially, it's supposed to keep your skull from smashing into your brain, right? So it's like a spongy type of thing. A lot of people get mangiomas, okay? Like Sheryl Crow is probably one of the more famous ones where I think she still has it, but hers is on her brain, okay? And the difference was mine wasn't on my brain, it was in my brain stem. Okay. So where your brain connects, all your nerves connect to your brain. And it was pushing on particularly the nerves that are controlling my muscles and my hearing. Okay. So they were like, it's possible that one of the reasons why you get these really debilitating headaches is because the tumor in there is pushing on these particular nerves. Now, inside of your brain stem, there's not a lot of room. My tumor was about 3 centimeters, almost 3 centimeters in size. So it literally was like, I think of like a hose. You take a rock and imagine trying to get like a telephone wire through with a rock in there. That's essentially what was happening. Okay. And so she's like, I
Thank
want
you for
you.
not using the jelly donut as a description, or else you'd be doing the show on your own.
Yes, I don't want to gross you out and make you faint. So the doctor was like, all right. She's like, I have the specialist, the surgeon. I want him to take a look at your MRI and so on. I was like, okay. So she gave me the name of the doctor. I called him up, and he goes, I don't take your insurance, sorry. And I'm like, wait, what? I have Cigna. I have great insurance. It's like, okay, but it actually worked out good because what I wound up doing was I just Googled like best surgeon in the world for meningioma removal. Okay. And I came up with a guy in Columbia University. Now, Columbia University is in New York City. I work in New York City sometimes. I'm right by it. So I called them up. I actually looked him up first. And then I found a YouTube video he did. And he talks all about exactly my type of tumor. Now, my type of tumor or that I had generally happens in people in their 70s to 80s. Okay. It's very rare that it happens in people my age. Okay. So they have a lot of treatments specifically garnered for that age group. They don't like to do surgery because they don't want to put stress on an older person's body to deal with it. So they had something called the gamma knife. I know it sounds like I'm going to turn into the Incredible Hulk, but they were like, it's a gamma knife radiation where they specifically target that particular area and they get rid of the meningioma. Now, again, most mangiomas are in your brain, like on your spongy. It's not in your brain stem. So when I spoke to the doctor, he was super excited. He was like, how did you find this? Like normally, like you would either like have a stroke or like you wouldn't be able to hear or you would go blind. Like, how did you find? I'm like, I had bad headaches. He's like, okay, that's great. But it's like he looked at the MRI when I went into to meet him in Columbia University. He was like, you don't have to have it out right now, but you have to have it out by the end of the year. He's like, because what's going to wind up happening is you'll be driving one day and you'll lose muscle control, or we'll wake up one morning and you can't hear. He's like, or one day you'll have a stroke. He's like, so like to eliminate that, he's like, you don't have to get it this moment right now in the office, but you have to get it sometime this year. So, at that point, my wife and I we weren't sure if we needed to get the tumor out. So it was kind of surreal hearing, you have a tumor that's affecting, that could really affect you. It could be a life or death situation. It's very weird. It's very weird to hear that. And what wound up happening to me was I decided to do the things that I wanted to do. I've always wanted to do a YouTube channel. Yeah, correct. Yep. So I've always wanted to do a YouTube channel. I've actually bought like a whole bunch of stuff for doing it, but I've never, like a lot of people who are probably listening to this, I've never actually pushed myself to do it because getting started, to be honest with you, is probably the hardest thing to do with YouTube. It's the hardest thing. Once you start doing it and you get into a good flow, I was just up until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I reviewed and unboxed 19 figures. Okay. 19 figures in one video I'm going to do. Okay. This shit is easy once you get into it. The hardest part for anybody hearing this is starting. So if you have an idea of doing this, just do it. Now, again, it took a brain tumor for me to actually do it, but I'm glad I did it. So anyway, so going back to, we found out we had the brain tumor. We found out we needed to have it out this year. I spoke to my job. They were like, go get it right away. I'm like, no, let me do the stuff for my work. Let me take care of the rest of this year for what's going on so that work is settled. They're good. My wife and family settled. Let me schedule the surgery at a good time when a lot of like nothing is really going on. So that's why we came up with the August date. And so leading up to that, like everything was trying to get everything for work done, family, and then I started the YouTube channel thing, and I really started to try to get into it. Now, I had the surgery August 14th. It was an 8-hour surgery. I think I sent you the picture of like the scar on the side of my head. So
send me that.
Oh, I sent you the speaking one. I gotta send you the picture of the
Send me the
scar I have.
speaking one.
Yeah, actually, while we're talking, I'll send you the scar one. But so I had 19 stitches. They cut open the side of my brain. It was an 8-hour surgery. One thing I will say is, if like I'm fit and I'm able to walk around, and so when I went, the surgery started at 7 a.m. I got at the hospital, to the hospital 5 a.m. and they were like, "Oh, you don't need a wheelchair. Do you want to just walk into the surgeon to the surgery?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not? No big deal." Dude, never do that. Never do that. Because you walk into that surgeon's room, everything's super bright white. Everything is shiny. It feels like you're walking to your death. Okay. I laid on the thing. I'm like, I'm dead. I'm never coming back. I'm like, goodbye. So, like, again, I had the surgery was 8 hours. One of the things they had to do was they had to wake me up during the surgery to make sure that I could still hear. So I don't even remember that. They wanted to make sure that everything was still good. They removed the tumor. It wasn't cancerous. They checked it right then and there. What they found was it actually wasn't pushing on the nerve with my hearing. It was pushing very much on the muscle control, so much so that it pushed the it pushed the nerve out of the brain stem, and it was starting to fuse with my skull. So that's why I was getting the really horrible headaches, because I would like have stress in my neck, and like I would try to move it around, and all I was doing is making it worse. And that's why the hot showers would be the only thing that would help me, because it was hot water directly on the particular area that was irritated. So they did the surgery, removed the tumor. I was in the hospital for I guess about 4 or 5 days. Um when I first woke up, I remember the first thing I did was remember everything for work, because all I could think of, I have to remember the most uninspiring, mundane things and make sure I still remember this stuff. And I did. And now I couldn't talk too great. Everything was slurred. And I was in pain, because again, like I said, they cut my the side of my head. They removed they had to cut through my jaw, they had to cut through my jaw muscle, and then they got to my brain stem and they removed the tumor that way through an 8-hour surgery. So I couldn't talk too great, couldn't move too great. I was in pain. I they give you a button and they tell you the painkiller, just press the button for the painkiller when you want it. And I'm like,
Oh.
okay, now I don't care
That's
about
Wall-E.
painkillers. Normally I've dealt with the headaches. Go ahead.
Have you ever seen the movie Wall-E?
Yes.
Do you remember Eva, the little friend that looked like the button?
Yes.
Because my ex had it for her back, and they're like,
Yes.
I think it was every 2 hours they could come in and give her a shot, but every 10 minutes
Yes.
they would do it. But you could hit it as many times as you wanted. But
Correct.
they wouldn't
So,
administer it for every 10 minutes.
you know
And
what I'm
she-
talking
she's
about?
like, where's my Wally? Where's my
Dude, let me tell you something. To answer Tripwire's question, so
head.
the
Did you
headaches
do it?
were like, it was weird, like because it was my brain stem and it was affecting my nerve. I was trying to figure out if it was a stress headache or whatever. It could be like on my left side, on my right side, on my front of my lobe. Like it was everywhere. Like sometimes, the only thing that helped me was going into the shower and having the hot water rush down on the back of my neck. So yeah, to pop Blender's thing, dude, the surgery I got the bill for in in Columbia University was like $180,000, right? And my insurance like paid almost everything for it. So thank God for insurance.
Now, I bring this up because Pop has made a couple comments, and I believe Brandon is not live. So, Brandon, I don't know. Let us know if you're living in the future with us or if you're still living in the past. Because you made a few comments, and I'm like, you're about 5 minutes behind. I love when you're on a live stream and and you're like, what the hell? And after about the 5th or 6th comment, you're like, dude, they're like a half hour behind us. I have no clue whatsoever.
Oh, I saw. So did I
Oh,
did I
he is
send you
live.
the edition picture? Yeah, dude. Like I said to my my work, and I sent them, like I said, a whole bunch of people. Like I woke up and I was just texting and I was trying to get my brain to work and to, like, one thing that was crazy was as I was texting people after the surgery, I kept forgetting filler words. So I kept forgetting to put the and it and everything, but I was thinking I was typing it. So before I hit send after like the 10th time, I looked at the message. I'm like, what am I typing? Like it was just like garbled mess of everything. So glad you came through it okay. Do you still with no, I don't have the headaches anymore, if that's what you're asking.
So explain to people what the operation entailed, though.
Is essentially it was brain surgery where they put me out and then they opened up my skull to get to my brain stem. They drilled a hole and they opened me up. It's still sore now. They said I think for the next year it's going to be sore. They pulled back the entire flap of my skin. They exposed my not to get graphic. They exposed Matt will know. They exposed what they needed to, and then he performed the surgery. But yeah, it was
Didn't you say
it was
they
a
had
lot
to
of.
keep waking you up?
So they had to wake me up halfway through the surgery because what happened is the tumor, even though it's in my brainstem, it pushed my brainstem far enough that it actually misaligned my brain. So they had to slowly remove the tumor so that my brain could realign itself in my skull so that I didn't go nuts. Because if they pulled it out and then they finished the surgery, they didn't give my brain enough time to realign itself, they were like probably like have a like psychotic attack. So they were like, we have to do it very slowly. We have to remove the tumor over a course of an 8-hour time. Again, they were worried that the tumor was pushing on the nerve controlling my hearing, but it actually turned out not to be. But they woke me up anyway just to make sure that I had all of my facilities and that I could still talk and I could respond. This was about 4 hours into the surgery, so they had my brain opened, or they had a portion of my skull open during that time. So yeah, that was crazy. I don't remember any of it, thank God.
Do you remember what you're here for? Yeah, right now we have your brain open. Just want to wake you up for a second. We're gonna put you back
It
out
was
now.
crazy.
When
It
you
was
were,
crazy. So
but when you originally told me, I think it sounds like I remember you telling me it sounded like it was going to be more invasive, where you had to be awake the whole time.
they originally thought that they were gonna have to wake me up multiple times because again they thought it was they're worried about my hearing essentially, so they were gonna wake me up multiple times as they're pulling the tumor out. But again, after they realized it really wasn't touching the nerve too much, which controlled my hearing, that's when they changed it and they didn't have to
Okay,
wake me up as much.
that's what I remember you telling me, and I was
Mhm.
like,
Yeah. Thank God it was only one time. Again, like I woke up and like I said, I had the button for the to give me the painkiller. And let me tell you something, I was just pressing it the whole time. The whole time. I didn't care if it was not on its
that's what
cooldown. I didn't know. Dude, I was just pressing and pressing and pressing.
that's what my ex was doing, and she knew that every 10 minutes it would release a little bit, and then I think every 2 hours they could come in
Denso.
and administer like a big dose of it.
Yep.
And that's how I knew what it was. You know, not like I spent a lot of time in hospitals other than when I was with her. But yeah, that's how I knew exactly. And she kept calling it Wally because it looked like Eva. So
So I was in the hospital for recovery, and what's funny is when you first walk in, they have a digital chart and it says fall risk, right? And so mine said no fall risk, right? And then I remember I had to get up to go to the bathroom, and I immediately fell. The next day, it was changed to extreme fall risk. I could not walk. They had to get physical therapy to me to help me walk around because my equilibrium was, if you ever gotten vertigo, that's the easiest way to explain it. Like everything was spinning. The second I got up, everything was spinning. So I had no equilibrium control whatsoever.
yeah, well, it's kind of funny what you said about like the being put out. What we were talking about the pro skater Danny Way. He's had like I don't know 20 surgeries and stuff, and he said that he talks about. He said the surgeon was like, he's like, do you want to be put? He goes, do you want to be put under for this knee surgery? And he was like, what? He goes, you're not going to feel anything. He goes, but if you don't want to be put under, he's like, every time you go on, you know, Danny was saying, like, he goes, every time you get put under, there's a chance you don't wake up. We've had so many.
Exactly.
And he goes, I don't get really weak, you know, it doesn't bother me. So I stayed up the whole time and I was asking him, like, okay, so like what, like, they're reconstructing his knee and he's asking questions. I'm like, nope.
Wow. He must have been on some good silly gas. He must have been asking some funny questions.
Well, he said it's just it's yeah, it's all numb, so you can't feel anything.
Yeah.
No,
Yep.
no. Like if the doctor's ever like, do you want it? Nope. Just fucking put me out. Just I don't.
No, yeah. They gave me the option of doing the gamma radiation treatment or the surgery, and
Did
I
you
was like,
ask?
no.
Is there a
I,
chance you can turn into the Hulk?
if
That
I
would have been
could
my first
have
question.
turned him, yes, I 100% would have done it. But he was like, I said no, I want the surgery. I want nothing to do with radiation whatsoever. My father actually had radiation, and he died like a couple of days later. Separate thing, but like I don't want radiation. The doctor's like, good. He's like, I wouldn't have given it to you anyway. He's like, I just wanted you to have the option because we
do
don't
you
know.
do you want this? I do. Oh, I was just joking. We're
No,
not
you're not getting it. He was like, we don't know what the effects are on someone your young age in that particular area for gamma radiation. Again, if you get, say, if you're 80 years old and we give you the gamma radiation on on your tumor, you're not probably going to live 20 years to find out if that had any after effects. You're going to probably live 20 years. We're planning on that. So that's why the gamma radiation wouldn't have been at the time a great option for me. Now, if it
yeah.
grows back, that's where they're like, yeah, we're going to do the gamma radiation on it. So
Okay. And again, like there's something I definitely wanted to discuss because again, it's not often you talk to anyone that's had brain surgery. I mean, there's a lot of like again, when I talked to Tony about my ex, and he's like, "Wow," I'm like, "Dude, yeah, 4 back surgeries, obviously other issues with it, heart surgery, thyroid surgery, uh, her appendix almost burst. That was after we weren't together." Um, like so many different things. And then when I had Plastic Fantastic on, and I was fascinated by the stuff he was talking about, because I'm like, I've been through all this stuff with my ex. None of this stuff that you're telling me. Like, this is all new stuff to me. And even though I have a weak stomach, I don't have to look at this. But to hear about it, it's fascinating to think about all these different things. Um, and
I
what
never
everyone's
would have imagined, like, it's been like a year, like all of a sudden you find out you have a brain tumor, and like I would say I'm probably 99% or 95% back to normal, right? One of the things that I had was the slurring of the words, getting tired after the surgery, even after I went back to work. I think I'm pretty good now. I'm not back to what I was. If you watch any YouTube videos prior to the surgery, you can hear my enunciation is a bit better during that time. I'm getting back to that. Um, but I would say this, if anybody like is in a similar position, don't be afraid, because like you can deal with it. Like you don't have a choice. Like you just deal with it. Like you you just go on living. Like again, for me, it was a good kick in the butt to do some other stuff that I was planning on doing, but I never really did. And I pushed myself to do the YouTube thing, which I'm having an absolute blast with. But again, like if something like this happens, if you're ever worried about thinking like what you would do, like I'm sure like Matt was saying, and other guys in the chat, they had chest surgery and heart surgery, like you just deal with it. It's life.
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier to say I couldn't deal with that when you just haven't had to deal with it.
Yeah.
When something's faced in front of you, you act completely differently, especially when you have a family. And
Yes.
it's like I was always like, I don't care what happens to me. I don't
Correct.
care. Like if I die, I die, whatever. Not that I was trying to die, or like skating while like I think, but the moment you have that kid, you're just like,
Things change.
yeah, like I
Yep.
I can die. Like
Yep.
I mean, I can't die. I mean, there's too much.
The
Um,
worst feeling was, remember, so my dad died when I was 11, and I remember what that feeling was like. And so, my son is like 6, he's like 7 years old, 8 years old, and I'm like, I don't ever. That's what hit me the most was, passing away, and putting, having to have them go through what I went through when I was younger, because I know what it was like. And so that's what emotionally hurt me the most, right? When I would think about it, and I'd be like, it wasn't, again, the worst thing that ever happened to me right now was my father passing away. So if I died, like, I've had a great life. Like, I've had 2 kids, like, I've had a career, like, I've done things. If I die, I die, right? But now it's my family. Now it's
yeah,
my son, my daughter, and my wife. And what effect me not being there was going to have negatively for them.
I'm not a religious person, but after like having my son, I was like, I don't, whoever it is, higher power, whatever. I'm like, my kids are not going to not have a parent.
Yep.
I'm sorry, like whoever you pray to, I'm like, I went through it. My kids are not going to go through that. You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
um, and it sounds kind of stupid, and I don't, I can't say I'm one of those people that believe in the power of prayer. Like every time I see someone says like, "Hey, my brother's out of surgeries," you know, pray to God. Like, no, you should pray to the doctor because he's the one that did it. Um, they're the ones that did it. Okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, I'm like, I don't, like you said, like if I'm gone, I'm gone. But I don't, like, it's my kids and everything that it's like they don't, not that they wouldn't be able to do it, but I don't want them to.
Yep. And then
That's
I
something
would
else.
leave them all this shit to sell. Oh my collectibles. They're not going to keep this stuff. They're going to have to sell it. I don't want them to have to sell it. But yeah,
I told my kids, I go, you can do whatever you want with the toys. You can do whatever you want. If you want to keep them, they mean something to me. Doesn't mean they mean something to you.
correct.
All that I ask, all that I tell you is that do not get ripped off. Do not go, hey, we have this old G.I. Joe aircraft carrier who wants 50
Oh,
bucks. No, like, don't. Largo, dude. Having kids definitely changes your perspective. The worst is when you hear yourself saying shit your mom used to yell at you.
Oh God.
Let me explain something to you. Not only do I say stuff that my dad did, I sound like my dad. So I literally can hear it as I'm saying it. And usually they're things that you said you would never say. And I was a good kid. I mean, people like, you did put your dad through shit. I'm like, I didn't. I mean, I kind of can tell you guys over and over. Like, I was, I didn't want to get in trouble because my dad had enough issues. But when you hear yourself saying something and you can hear your voice and you're like, oh my God, I sound just like my dad. I was at a job one day and this lady, she just comes out of nowhere. She comes out around and she looks at me and she goes, you even walk like him. And I went, excuse me? She's like, you even walk like him. And I went, excuse me? And she goes, your dad, I know your dad. You sound just like him, you look like him, and you walk like him. And I went, oh, you should have started with that. Like, how about you start with, hey, I know your dad, and man, you have so many characteristics.
Yep.
But no, like, I think you and I have a lot of the same perspectives, and again, I guess we don't really have a choice, right? We can't,
Nope.
we can't, change that type of stuff. But, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm like, I'm not, and I drive all day. So the chances of me dying in a car accident are probably higher than most people.
Yep.
Of course, I try and watch what I'm doing and watch other assholes. I'm not really worried about me as much as I'm worried about the other assholes.
Dude, every time I get in my car, I always say to myself, I could die in the car today. Just be careful. And that's it. Even though I do like 90 miles an hour, but I'm a very, because I don't know, when you grow up in New York and you drive in Long Island and then you drive in the city consistently, you become a very aggressive driver, because if you wait around, first of all, you're never going to go anywhere. You're never going to get a parking spot in New York City. Second of all, you're going to cause an accident because everybody else is aggressive. So you have to be in that same mindset. So I have the aggressive driving because of just, where I've grown up from. So
I live in the Motor City.
Yes.
There's a highway. There's an expressway called 696. It is pretty much a straight shot.
Yeah, drag racing.
Yeah, Tim Allen will talk about it. If you ever listen to Tim Allen talk about like where they used to go drag racing, he talks about like 696. Obviously, Woodward. Everyone knows Woodward because of the Woodward Dream Cruise and everything. But that's not an expressway. Some of these expressways, I mean, if you're not doing 90 miles an hour, then you're impeding traffic.
Correct.
It's when you're doing 90 miles in the slow lane, and it's like, okay, you can't be pissed off. They got out of your way. Now you over there, who's doing 65 and the speed limit is 75, but everyone else is doing 85. You are causing the problem.
Yeah, I absolutely hate that when I'm in the fast lane and somebody's not going fast or they're just under the speed limit. It's insane. Drives me insane. So right as COVID ended, one other thing happened to me actually was during the time when I was trying to get into really good shape. Again, I said I loved playing basketball. So I remember seeing the Adam Sandler movie about some foreign basketball player. So I got the idea of starting. Yeah. So I got the idea of going out and playing basketball again. So I started to go to the park by myself. I'm too old. I should have realized that. So I started going to the park and I started doing exercises I was doing when I was young, way younger, like suicides when it was like 90 something degrees outside. Okay. And this is right before the 4th of July. And I'm doing suicides, I'm doing layup drills, et cetera, for like an hour outside over the course of like a week. And I go to do a layup, and all of a sudden, I hear a gunshot go off and I fall down and I immediately know what it is. I blew my Achilles. And it's 100% true. You feel like somebody just hit you in the back of the leg right by your foot with a crowbar and you heard a pop. 100%. So I'm on the floor all by myself at the park. It's like 90 something degrees. I'm exhausted. I had to hop with one leg over to the stands, get my stuff, hop over to my car. I almost fainted in my car getting there because at that point you know what the deal is. Like you're I I blew my Achilles. Like I can't. I'm gonna need to get surgery. And yeah, I had Achilles surgery. Actually, Achilles surgery, the recovery from it was harder than the brain surgery. It was more painful.
You just nailed my. That is my fear skateboarding
Yep.
because it does. I mean, you don't even have to be in. eh, There's no working it out. There's no
Yep.
working it out. I mean,
No,
I
there's
know.
not.
Yeah, if you, I mean, if you don't drink enough water, yeah, they talk about it, but that's that's one of my fears, like that. Not, I mean, I don't want to do anything else, um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no, dude. Let me tell you something. I got the Achilles surgery, and I mean, I was working like the next day after the surgery. I had the soft cast on, and they put a number or something in your leg. Matt will know where it to completely stops any damage, any feeling of pain from your knee down, right? So it's nerve blocker. I'm sorry, it's called nerve blocker, and it wore off in the middle of a call for work, and I was running. I was project managing the data center disaster recovery. And I was like, guys, I have to go because let me tell you something. For the next 2 days, I was just in pain, dude. It was so much pain. It hurt. So I was up the whole night with just pain. So if you blow your Achilles, dude, try not to because it is a painful recovery, dude. It is worse by far than having brain surgery. Okay. But by far, and you can't walk anywhere. And then thank God it happened on my left foot because my wife doesn't drive. So I was able to at least drive, but like you're riding around, I had a little knee scooter to get places. And then God forbid I'm taking the garbage out and I lean over and I accidentally put my weight on my leg or I fall on my face. And
oh,
the excruciating pain that you get is insane, dude. It is so horrible,
I don't.
horrible. During that time, that's when I found Warhammer 40K. That's when I was just sitting there and I was like, there was this game called Battle Sector on the PlayStation. I was like, let me give it a shot. And then that was it. That was my introduction to Warhammer 40K. So because I blew my Achilles, that's the reason why I'm into all the stuff I'm into now with Warhammer. So
Okay, well that explains that question of how you really got into it. Which is something that Largo asked. It's like the one thing I starred when he asked.
I
When you,
right as so to answer Largo's question. So during the time when I was playing World of Warcraft, I was also reading or EverQuest actually. I was reading all of the Dungeons and Dragons books and I became a really big R.A. Salvatore fan. During that time when I would go to the bookstore, I would see the Warhammer 40K books and the fantasy novels. I got into the fantasy novels early, but I never got into 40K. Got into 40K right about like I said, right when I blew my Achilles a couple years ago.
so Woodhouse says, "Damn, I was planning to blow my Achilles this weekend. Now what am I gonna do this weekend?"
Dude, let me just tell you, man, don't play basketball if you're over 40, dude. like Matt was saying, most of the 99% of the blown Achilles happen from guys playing basketball. Like it is so horrible.
See, now Kenzel says, as crappy as it sounds, everything happens for a reason. I disagree with that. I disagree with that totally. I agree that you can make things happen from what, but I don't believe everything happens for. I don't believe in. I don't believe in like fate and destiny like that. Like I don't believe that. I was watching. I don't know if Matthew's watched it. Landman yesterday, and the guy says something. He goes, he's talking to the governor. He says something. He goes, we're all like everything is set. He goes, it doesn't matter what we do. I believe that we're already set. Everything happens, and I disagree. I believe I chose not to do drugs and drink. I could have chosen to do it. I don't believe that my mom died for me to choose that path.
Correct.
My mom died, and that was the path that I chose. Because who knows? I mean, who knows? I've often said, like, hey, you guys all get to make the mistake and hear your mom say, hey, you know what? You screwed up, but I still love you. I don't ever get to hear that again.
Nope.
So I chose not to do that. But, hey, you know what? That's why we're all entitled to our opinion. As Sergei Fedorov once said.
Dude, talk about hockey. I actually learned hockey from the Genesis, from NHL 93, 94, 95, like the EA games. That's where I learned how to play, or I learned how to watch hockey from those games. So I understand all about hockey just because I played the crap out of those video games back then.
Sergei Fedorov had a line. He's like, everybody entitled to their opinion.
Fedorov was a center too, right? Or no, he was a left wing?
He was a center.
He was center, yep.
He was center, or then he would sometimes play. He would sometimes play, I believe, right wing.
Right wing, that's right.
Maybe left wing. If he was on a line with Yzerman, because he usually.
Yep. I always played the Blackhawks with Jeremy Roenick and Leach and all of them back in I guess it was 93, 94 when they had them. So
sounds about right.
Yep.
Yes, Yzerman was a center. But Sergei Fedorov, because if they were on the same line together, one of them couldn't be a center. You only have, but the Red Wings had like so many good face-off guys. It was unfair. Like it was unfair to, like when you looked at the percentage of like how much they won the face-offs. Like even their fourth line center had it was a great face-off guy. Anyway. Lawrence's destiny was always to be Roman human. If I believed in that, my ex had left. When I didn't have the kids, I went off. I did whatever I wanted. And a friend of mine posted him saying that if anyone's looking for a dog, and for some reason I asked, and she's like, "Are you interested?" I'm like, "No, not at all." And then she used to manage a restaurant, and I would go up there on Sundays when she worked, and I didn't have the kids, and I eat like this all you can eat breakfast. And there was an outside area, and she goes, "Hey, that dog's here if you want to see it." And I was like, "No, I don't." And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And I went out there and I talked to the people, and I said, "Can you be up here next week? I got to see how my kids feel. I'm not going to tell them." And that was it. So if I believed in destiny and fate, then yes, I guess you could say that. I just believe I was a dumbass and asked about. I've never asked about another dog, so it is kind of weird, but there he is.
We used to have two dogs. We lived in Brooklyn. I was a huge dog guy, but when we lived in Brooklyn, we bought two dogs. They were small. We had a silky terrier named Teddy, and we had a Yorkie. Sorry, not Yorkie. A mini pitcher named Chip, and they both lived with us in Brooklyn. They moved up to here, and then they passed away a couple of years ago. It sucked, dude. Losing a dog sucks.
Oh,
Sucks.
let me explain something. I have tied so much, and it was never on purpose. Like that's the whole thing. Like it was never on purpose. I've tied so much. Like when he finally does pass away, and he's got many, many years left. There's gonna be so many videos that if I go back and watch, he's gonna be there. You know, like there's pictures of him all over. I mean, and people have pictures of their dogs, but it's like, and this hobby and everyone, like I can't even imagine. Like I try not to think about it. And he just turned 8, so he has many, many years left. Probably more than I have on YouTube. But you know what? I will say this: he came at he came at a time that I guess I probably needed someone, or he was around during that, like at the um, early stages of him being around. Now he's like a freeloader, like the rest of those kids.
Oh
So,
God.
so where do you see where do you see yourself taking your YouTube channel, or where do you want it to go?
So I think I had this conversation with you. I had my first YouTube video, right? I did a review. I tried like some certain things with the review, and I wasn't happy with because it wasn't what I wanted to do with YouTube, right? I didn't want to just do. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I wanted something different. Just doing reviews and so on. So what I wound up thinking about, and especially after the surgery, I had a lot of time to think. And what I came up with is I tried to get into the miniatures, like painting miniatures, and just not my thing. What I really love is
It
the
sounds
action.
awful. My eyes. Come
You
on,
know,
like
I can't like there's not I've like it's great that they do that. But the prices of the miniatures, unpainted, unput together, unpainted, yeah, gray plastic is about sometimes half or almost more than half than a Joy Toy figure. And the Joy Toy figures are like they're insane. Like these are like miniature hot toys. So can you imagine just a little piece of plastic that's not painted, that doesn't move, and it's nearly half the price of this? It's insane, dude. So anyway, so I decided I'm like, I actually wound up buying a whole Grey Knights army to try to play the tabletop game, which is another portion of it. And like I was telling Clinton in the chat before, I just I don't know. I'm not into to the game. What I like about Warhammer is I love the Joy Toy figures. I love the action figures. Go figure. I love the lore. I love learning brand new stuff, right? There's so much lore around Warhammer 40K that it would I would have to have a second job to learn everything. So all I do is stay in my lane, learn about what I like, learn about the Grey Knights, and then faction, now I'm starting to learn about the Blood Angels, the Raven Guard, and more of the history, right? I love the media. I love the books. I actually just bought a special edition of one of my favorite stories, right? And this was like this is a leather bound book. It's really beautiful. It's great. It's like autographed by the artist or the author. This was like over $100 to buy, but I'm happy with it, and I just did a review on it. So what I'm gonna do to answer your question in a non-roundabout way is I'm gonna review, and I'm gonna talk about Joy Toy figures. I'm gonna talk about media stuff, so the magazine, monthly magazine, about books that come out, anything that interests me for Warhammer 40K. That's what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to do like reviews and stuff. Like for instance, they have something called these, which are purity seals, right? And in Warhammer, if you notice on some of the figures, they have these purity seals. Well, there's this vendor called Starforge, which makes these, and I was super interested in getting them, but on YouTube, there's no videos on them. Okay. I'm like, what's the quality? It's from a company in China. Like it's licensed by Warhammer, but I don't know. So when I bought them, and I bought a whole bunch, you don't just take them out of the box and you're ready to go. You actually have to put them together. And I have the video made, and I have to put it up on YouTube. So these are the type of things I want to do. Like I don't want to I don't want to do. I want to do things that interest me, right? I want to play video games, right? I want my channel to be about gaming because gaming comes very easy to me. Like I've done gaming my whole life. So streaming, I started a year ago. I've gotten comfortable with it. I just hired somebody today. He just redid my entire streaming setup. So I'm gonna have a different streaming setup. I'm gonna have all the bells and whistles over the next month. So I'm gonna go with that. And so anything that I have fun with, Joy Toy, I like I said last night until 5 o'clock in the morning, I opened up all of these Blood Angels, all of these guys. So you guys are gonna see a video of 19 figures unboxed and reviewed by Joy Toy, just the Blood Angels. And that's not even half of my collection of the Blood Angels. So I'm gonna do collection videos, anything that I interest me and I have fun with that I think somebody would be interested in or like getting into Warhammer, that's what I'm going to do. The other side of this, which I know I'm going on and on, is the creating songs and like music videos for because I didn't plan on doing this, but like I was talking to Kenzo. I made this whole video about miniatures and like I was like, I need a song to tie everything together. And Kenzo was like, why don't you just make it? Like, what are you talking about? He's like, try this. And I tried it, it didn't work, but I found another program and it's called Udio. And I've made and produced and distributed. I'm a musician now. Like I have a creator's account on YouTube. I was actually making money before I was monetized, right? I was making money when I was in the hospital on that song. It's insane. Like, and then the other side of this is I was like, well, if I'm going to make a video, like I would rather like have like images from an artist, ask their permission, animate these pictures, and then put a whole video together. And that's what I just recently did. The last 3 videos I put out, I actually took well-known images that were created, ran them through an AI machine for multiple hours because it spits out some garbage sometimes, and then I create them. So again, it's cool because it's the creation process. I know I'm going on here, but it's the creation process and the different things that interest me and I'm excited about sharing. So
All right. So are you? I mean, are you going to focus mostly on Warhammer? Or
yeah, I think I have it's going to be Joy Toy Warhammer. It's definitely Warhammer is my primary focus. Probably about 99% of it, but I'll have like I'm looking for so Joy Toy made like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle figures. I did a review on that, and then I bought the Shredder figure and the Foot Soldier. So I want to do that tonight before I go to sleep. I want to do a review on that. So sometimes you'll see peppered in some things from Joy Toy that are not Warhammer. It'll be very specific things like Ninja Turtle stuff, but everything will come back to Warhammer.
Okay. So I know, I talked about it before, and I think like your passion is what will drive people, and it takes time.
Dude, I did a reaction video to Secret Level episode on Amazon. This is probably the only time I'll probably maybe one other time I'll do this when the next video comes out.
That was
but
a very interesting. I know nothing about Warhammer, but that was
an awesome episode, right? It was very cool.
Like, I know nothing about it, and it was well done as just a short.
Yeah, it was only 19 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep. So I saw it. I knew it was going to be big. So I went to town editing it with CapCut, and I edited it down until I had a 7-minute video, so I wouldn't get copyright struck. I uploaded it to YouTube in 8K, and then they said there was copyright strikes. I went back and forth editing those copyright strikes out. Finally got the video up. It's up to 26,000 views right now and like over like 700. So that video got me monetized. It got me up to I think like over 2,000 subs. So and then from moving forward, like I said, I'm just gonna do. I did another like the to be honest with you, the reaction videos, if you edit it right, are easy to do. It's an easy, especially if you get it when it first comes out. It's a way to get like tons of views and get yourself noticed. And so that's what I did. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna continue. I'll do one more reaction video to some more lore, which I'll continue to do it on. I just did 2 more music videos. I produced 2 more songs, and then I have tons of Joy Toy figures to open and review, and I'm gonna do collection videos. I'm gonna do on Sundays. I started it a couple months ago. Every Sunday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I do a Joy Toy Warhammer show where I just talk about like the Joy Toy figures and releases. And eventually, what I'd like to do is have people on who have a backing or history with Warhammer, like Same Time Toys or Crow, etc., who have a history of Warhammer on, have them come on the show. We'll speak about one particular subject and we'll just talk about stuff. Because one of the things that happened to me, Punk, was I started, not your channel, but other channels like Geek Dad Life and so on. I started throwing money at them for super chats to get them to talk about Joy Toy Warhammer figures. Okay. And then they would talk about it.
You can still throw money at this channel. I'm not.
I still do, but I'm saying so.
No, I know.
I
you
would.
do. I know.
I literally would try to get them to talk about Joy Toy Warhammer figures because nobody else was talking about it, and they would be like, "Oh, this is like interesting. Okay, let's go to the next subject." I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna make my own channel and talk about YouTube. I'm gonna talk about Joy Toy because nobody else is talking about it because I want to talk about it. So that's essentially what my channel is. It's what I'm excited about, what I have an interest about. I have my lifetime of playing video games I want to talk about. I have other stories I want to talk about. That's what I want my channel to be.
All right. No, I'm looking right now. Yeah. 26,000 views on that. That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy? It was like 600 and something comment. It's crazy, dude. Like I said, it blew up that morning. You don't understand. Like I took 8 hours editing that video. So like if you've watched the secret level episode and you watch my video, you'll be like, holy shit, like I actually got through the whole episode on YouTube without any copyright strikes because I edited it out. It's more like a trailer. It doesn't give you the whole storyline, but it gives you enough where you can follow it. And it's in 8K footage because some of the comments are like, this is better than the Amazon episode that I watched on Amazon. How did you get the quality for it? I'm like, because I uploaded an 8K video.
8K is crazy though. Like that's crazy.
Dude, I'm
gonna watch it in 8K, so it doesn't. No, I've only watched 3 episodes. I watched this episode. I watched Mega Man, and I watched Pac-Man.
Pac-Man was crazy, dude. What the
F? Basically, Pac-Man's a piece of shit. That's what I took from it. I'm like, how is this gonna come back to Pac-Man? I didn't, and then you're like, oh wow, Pac-Man is the bad guy.
He's a piece of shit.
And I tried watching Dungeons and Dragons, but I was kind of bored, and I didn't recognize anything else other than, and I would not have watched Warhammer had it not been for you.
Oh, awesome!
Because
all right, so
I would have known I would have known the name.
Yep.
But I would have tried to watch Dungeons and Dragons first because I have some sort of knowledge of
idea.
What that is. So Thanos says, have you tried using the toys to animate?
Yes. So if you watch some of my shorts, if you want to watch one now, look at any of the ones for Joy Toy. And actually, they just announced some more Joy Toys, and I just finished some more animation. So what I do is I take the pre-announced images, I run through the system, the AI system, and then I have them animated. I tell them what I want it to do. Again, it takes practice. It takes time. Sometimes you don't get great images and it costs money. But yeah, if you watch Thanos, if you watch any of my YouTube shorts, I have the figures animated, sometimes up to 10 seconds, and it looks awesome. So for instance, the Imperial Knight, which is like 600 or 700 bucks, I got some really great animated images on it, and you'll see it has like 2,000 views on YouTube. And the people from Georgia actually reached out to me, and they're like, "That's cool." And it's actually the funniest thing is a lot of YouTube Warhammer 40K creators message me on how I'm doing this, and I have a quick call with them. I run them through it, and they're like, they're very afraid to do anything like I'm doing because of their the comments that they get from the people who are their fans, right? So like channels like 500,000 subscribers, they don't want to do anything because they feel like people, a large percentage of their community doesn't like AI, so they won't do anything like that, even though they know how awesome this is and how it makes it look. They won't do it because they're worried about the feedback. And I'm like, I don't really give a shit. If it's cool, I'm doing it.
No, and that's and that's actually a good way to look at things, because I mean, I'm like that in many ways. Like, hey, this is kind of what my channel is. I do want to evolve it and I want to
Yep.
change things, but at the same time, I have, and I'm not saying you don't have other things going on. I have other things going on in my life, and I
Sure.
spend so much time doing this stuff here. It's hard for me to try and work on other things. You know what I mean? To delve into something different and just experiment with it. With you, I think it's amazing because you're you're diving mostly into Warhammer,
Yep.
and there's a huge fan base,
Yep.
but it takes time. I think a lot of people that a lot of these guys, they're Joe guys, right?
Yep.
And I think that a lot of times they look at me, and it's like, I mean, I didn't wake up one night and be like, hey, I can be in the Joe algorithm. People are gonna know who I am. It took a lot of busting my ass, and again, I think
Absolutely.
people know that. And you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to focus only on Joe. It's my mainstay. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
But you are becoming the Warhammer guy, and it takes time. And I don't. And again, you'll have people that are resentful because you weren't doing it a long time ago. Like when you hear these people that are mad that oh, all these post-COVID YouTubers, like, who cares?
Whatever. Doesn't
Who
matter.
cares?
Dude, it's your hobby. Okay. You're
Yes,
having
exactly.
fun doing it,
Yep.
right? Like if you look at YouTube as you're going to make money and it's going to be your career, you're destined to fail. It's like trying to win the lottery. It's like going and buying a lottery ticket and saying, I'm going to win the lottery because I spent this money. It doesn't work like that. Anything good takes time and effort. I'm 47 years old. I'm living proof that if you want something, it takes time. And by the way, enjoy the journey, because when you get to the end point and you're expecting all the happiness, it's not there. It's getting to that point. So I love what I'm doing. I love creating the backdrops. I love creating the videos. One thing, as far as like G.I. Joe compared to Warhammer, that I have a little bit of a help with is G.I. Joe. It does have some media, right? It has the comics, it has some. Warhammer is like insane, dude. Like it's not as big in America as it is in other countries, but it has so many different areas to touch. The Joy Toy, the figure area is something brand new, and I just absolutely love these figures. So I know that if I continue down this path, and I know the type of personality that I have, I can have a lot of fun with this, dude. Absolutely.
Yeah. And again, if you're not having, and again, you can want to make money. You can strive to make money. I try and I don't hide that. I hate the guys that hide it. Like,
Sure.
why are you hiding the fact that you're making money, or that, hey, I try and make better videos. Again, mine are very kind of archaic in many ways, but I try and make it
But that's your
better.
style. It's not archaic.
Yeah,
That's your style.
but it's like, but I want to make it better. So when I look back and I was like, I wasn't using a fucking microphone.
Yeah,
Like, that was
absolutely.
something that cost me $50 or whatever it was to buy it, and people were like, "Yeah, that sounds much better." Or when I started turning things from the basic HD 30, I don't like doing 4K because it takes up so much space on the phone, and I'm doing everything off my phone.
That's what I'm saying. I have the advantage of
Yeah,
doing everything on my PC, and I have multiple hard drives. So yeah,
yeah. So I do it, but I do everything in 60 frames per minute. So but when I do certain things, I will change it to 4K. Um, but it's all those different things.
this just came today. This was just, again, this is, so I order everything from Joy Toy or from Cool Toys, and I get it. Like, I got this first. Nobody else has gotten this. But I'll probably do a review on this, but I'm not, and it's okay to try to rush it out there. But I've seen the other YouTube channels that do Joy Toy stuff, and I'm like, I don't have to compete with them. Like, it's not a competition thing. There's a couple guys who are like 4 to 6K subs, and they just do Joy Toy stuff. And that's cool and that's great. But I don't want to just limit myself, just like you're saying. I don't want to just say I'm just going to do Joy Toy Warhammer.
Yeah.
I have book reviews. I have monthly magazine reviews. I have reviews on like lore, on videos, on anything that interests me. And I think that I can share my interest with other people. That's what my YouTube channel I want to be about.
Yeah, and again, it is one of those things that it will evolve because you might. Again, I won't like. I'll post a skateboarding video because people will ask every now and then, or I'll post a short of Roman every now and then, But I also know you don't mix things.
Yeah, correct.
It has to be in the same realm because those people. And we were talking about this last night, was it? Just talking about this, where people say, you shouldn't do shorts on. No. If I put all kinds of shorts of Roman up, then you get all these dog lovers that are like, "Whoa, what the hell is this?" You know what I mean? Where I'll post a thing of Roman every now and then because he is part of the show, right? But for the most part, I'm not going to constantly. But I mean, again, usually when I do shorts, I mean, this is really the only YouTube channel that I use. But I'm not posting stuff all the time that is like you're trying to bring in new subs, but it's like they don't care about the product you're putting out.
Correct. I told Ken from Toy Connections this. So how I figured out how you do YouTube Shorts is I create a video, I post the video with a timeline, and then I create a YouTube Short based upon that to advertise the video. I then take that YouTube Short, throw it up on Instagram and Facebook, and I have the traffic pointing back to YouTube. On my Instagram, I'm up to like 1,500 subscribers, and then I have one particular video that's up to 2.5, it's like 250,000 views with like over 8,000 likes, and it's all UI, it's all AI, it's crazy. And then because of that, because people are coming and they see this video and they share it, they're coming. If you look at my Instagram, my other videos, I have another video which I just created, and that one has like over I think like 10,000 views, 1,000 likes, and again, like things start to grow. And so essentially what I'm using those YouTube Shorts for is just an advertisement for the main YouTube video, and it's so easy, dude.
Yeah, and that's what I used to do with the when everything was on the Productive Susan spinning. But a lot of times when I'm doing, like, the average person that's going to see it, they don't care about the reviews,
Yeah.
But I'm with you. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people found the channel because of that.
Yep.
I did a short today for me being angry.
Dude, let me I'm gonna rant 1 second about YouTube Shorts and how YouTube does it. Why the fuck you do this on your phone, so this isn't gonna affect you. But if you're doing YouTube Shorts and you're doing on the studio on your PC, you actually can't change the thumbnail on your PC. How you have to do it is you have to go to the YouTube, not the studio app, the actual YouTube, and go there to change it. No?
Okay, to change it.
To make to edit it.
So I do everything from my phone. If you upload a short and then you go to the studio and before it's uploaded, you can change it.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, but you have that amount of time. So
before it finishes uploading, while it's doing like 4K, whatever. Okay.
Yeah. So I do, and I don't do it because I really don't like the thumbnails for shorts for some reason because they're technically shorts. But I've done it a few times. Yeah. So if you upload it and then you go right on your studio. Now I don't know if you can do it from the desktop.
But no, you can't. You can't. So it's got to be from my phone. Yeah.
So from my phone, like when you go to, because if you notice when you upload it, the YouTube, a short will not be in the short section. It'll be in the actual video section.
Correct, because it hasn't recognized how long it is yet to recognize it as a
So once
short.
you
Yeah.
click on it, you can change it, and you can put a thumb, but you cannot change a thumbnail.
I get it. Yeah.
I
So
only found that up by accident.
I took so I put up a YouTube short, and it's one of the ones that's doing awesome on Instagram. And I put it on YouTube at the same time, and except that YouTube wouldn't let me change the thumbnail, so it got a terrible thumbnail on YouTube. It had like 50 views, so I deleted it yesterday. I'm like, fuck this. I put it up on. I went to my phone, upload the same thumbnail from Instagram to YouTube, and it has like 500 views. Like I'm like, what the like it sometimes YouTube makes things like hard for no reason. I don't know why. And by the way, their algorithm sucks ass. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. Does not make sense at all. So yeah, so it's fun. It's learning. Again, this is why I would say make a YouTube channel, have fun with it. Because if you think that you're gonna have a career and this is gonna pay your job, it's gonna pay your bills, like I don't know what to tell you. Like that is not what this is.
I feel like if you want to make YouTube your job, you cannot do something that there's a niche.
Correct.
You can do movies, right? You
Yes.
can do movies. Everyone watches movies, TV shows. Now you can't pigeonhole yourself into like, hey, I'm only doing Marvel movies because now you have, or you do politics. God knows people love politics.
Yes.
Murder mysteries, okay? Unsolved mysteries, people love that shit. Especially if you're hot and have tits. People love that. But there are certain things that you can definitely, make.
Yes,
you make your money off. You'll make your money off affiliate links.
Yes.
And sponsorships.
Yes.
Not from AdSense.
Yes. No, not from AdSense. And you know what's funny is and I'll give you a couple numbers here. The songs I created, I put up. They're on Apple Music. They're on Spotify. They're on YouTube. Everywhere, and I've made since I put them up to this time without like there's an effort that I put into it, obviously, like I'll probably over 100 hours, but I've made like $1,000 from them. Like it's the funniest thing, dude. Like and if you watch, like I just checked my songs I just put up on Christmas and the day after Christmas, and they're blowing up. Like you have to wait a couple months to actually get the money because everything channels in. But dude, like I'm like, this is hysterical. Like this is gonna pay for my figures. I'm like, okay, great, sure, that's great.
Okay, but Pop, now so this is where people buy the ads to push the stuff out too. So it's not just that.
Correct.
But I will say, so YouTube will put out things that you watch. Like that's, like it's weird. I do a G.I. Joe classified review, and I'll almost always get at least 1,000 views in the first 24 hours.
Yep.
Now, I know people are gonna go, "Wow, that's amazing!" If I got 1,000, again. But then I do a Marvel Legends, removing the one that I chucked at the wall.
It's a falcon.
He went flying.
He ain't flying. he flew like a falcon into the wall.
So pissed off. I did contact Hasbro today and send over all the stuff about getting it either replaced or getting I don't know what they're gonna do, but I'll get maybe 200 or 300 if I'm lucky. This one's over 2,000, but I think it's because people saw the me throw it, and again, I put a negative comment in there or a negative title, and it that draws people's attention. For a bit. But I do I did the G.I. Joe. I did the Haya Cobra Commander. I think it has like 600 views, right? So it's like it doesn't just take G.I. Joe. It's like G.I. Joe classified.
Yes.
People see that, and I think there's a lot. I think there's also that whole, you have classified collectors, a lot of them know who I am. They want to
Yes.
wait. They want to see what I have to say. Or there's people that don't want to see what I have to say and they hit the dislike. Whatever. I don't care. It's interaction. But, some of these things make no sense. Like they do amazing. But then the algorithm, because you would think, again, like if you're doing classified and you're getting 2,000 for every review that you do, then if you do a Motu, you should get 500 or 600, 700.
Yeah.
But no, I'll be sitting there like, wow, I like get 80.
Dude, it's the weirdest thing because Instagram and Facebook, I don't know about Facebook really, but Instagram definitely has a better idea of their algorithm. Yes. And maybe it's because it's just quick hits of information, whereas YouTube, it's full length videos and stuff. But like anytime I put up a video that I think is going to be a banger, like it's usually there. I'll put it up on YouTube and I'll get like 300 views, and I'm like, wait, what? That was a good video.
I've said that before. Like I would put some stuff on TikTok, and I don't do much on TikTok, although I did.
I don't understand TikTok, dude.
Yeah. But I'd put like the same short. I put the same short up on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And like YouTube, let's say would get like 4,000, and then you get like 300 on Instagram, and then like 700 on TikTok. And then you do another video and you get like 400 on YouTube, 3,000 on, on Instagram, and 1,000. It's like, how are they not around the same numbers? Like they should all, because the people that should be subscribed to me should all you think they're all the same type of people, right? Like they're watching the same stuff. So how does Instagram do great one with the other two do awful, or two of them do really good and one is like all the same types of people are watching all my content? I don't. It makes no sense to me,
dude. I have no idea about TikTok. I put up the same exact shorts that I do on Instagram that I put on TikTok, and if you look at my TikTok account, I got like 1 or 2 views, some 0. What is going on with this? It literally makes no sense. Shorts were a way to drive traffic to your main page, but there has been steadily going down since summer. Again, like I said, I just use the shorts as advertisements, to be honest with you. That's all I do.
Yes and no. Shorts were meant to take people away from TikTok.
Yes.
That's what they did, because they saw people leaving, and so they create. They're supposed to be doing something. They're supposed to be doing something this year that's going to break it apart even more.
Oh, YouTube is?
Yeah, or maybe they've even started. Well, YouTube has changed their shorts to be up to 3 minutes, I believe, so you can do up to a 3-minute short.
Yep.
And I think you're also going to be able to tell people, or tell it like, I don't want this as a short because I want it in
that's cool
format.
Sure.
Yeah, they're always changing stuff. Again, a lot of people will hear something and not look into it or listen to what some of these content creators are talking about that, so they run with it. There's a toy tuber that talks about how YouTube shorts are awful for your channel, and no, they're awful for your channel if you're not doing your content. How could me be doing Joe shorts be bad for my YouTube channel?
It
doesn't make any sense.
I've been doing YouTube realistically since I recovered from the surgery. I would say October. So since October to now is really the stream of time, and that's where I've been the most successful, because again, I'm just concentrating on Warhammer Joy Toy stuff, and I'm using those shorts as an advertisement for my videos. That's what's worked for me. I don't know if it's going to work for other people, but that so far is what worked for me.
And that's exactly why YouTube gives you that option to say related video.
Oh yeah. Oh God, dude, that's awesome.
You hit that related video, and
100%.
The hope is that someone looks at that and then they go to your channel. Now, have you monetized yours?
Mine is monetized. Yep. Okay. I just 2 days ago I hit 4,000 hours.
Okay, so you just got it going.
Yep.
So unfortunately, this whole Warhammer.
That's okay. That's like, dude. Like I said, I have I've been off for the 2 weeks from work First week was family stuff for Christmas. This past week has been only for me. So I have taped so much content, dude. Back, like I told everybody I'm gonna put out a video a day. I have like 20 videos of content. I'm gonna tape right after this video. I'm gonna do a shredder and the Joy Toy figures. I'm gonna do this. Just came in today. I have more Tyranids. Dude, I have so much Joy Toy figures to open and do a quick review on. I'm gonna do collection videos. Over on the side, you can't see this over here is all of my Grey Knights. I have a nice lighted display. I want to show pictures and stuff like that. Like I have so much, and then the Grey Knight, like there's content that's going to be released by Warhammer soon. Like, dude, it's just it's literally, now that I've got a good flow of it and I have a good system with how to make videos, because I have a template and I just pop the images in after I create it. Like, it's so much. I think I know what you know what I'm talking about. Like,
Oh,
once
yeah.
you have a template, you make the stuff, you make your video, you edit it down, and you know what's gonna go. And you can throw out a good couple of videos in a day.
See, and for someone like you, it's easier to do it. And what I mean by that is you have a studio, and I use my phone, so I have to set up the phone. Like, it's a pain in the ass because then I
Correct.
edit everything on my phone. Where if I was and again, I'm
Yep.
not trying to say like, I'm not saying you have it easy or anything.
No,
But
no, no, no.
I've often looked into like, if I had like my own camera where that's all that it did, and
Dude, I
it'd be
invested
so
in
much easier because I could do 5 videos,
let me
put them up here. Once you like, I have to do each video. I have to finish the video, or else the phone will get filled up,
oh
and then
god, dude.
it errors
Oh
back at
man,
you.
I want to buy you a computer and a cat. Dude, I invested in a Canon R8 what is this, EOS HDR camera, and I use this for live streaming. Okay, which is why it looks real. I can get up to 8K resolution. That bar that you see, I do an over the top view for my
Yeah.
reviews, right? So it's way more fun, more comfortable. So I bought a stand for that. Dude, I take pictures with the camera. It's so much. If I was to say one thing that would make YouTube more fun for you, invest in the camera. 1000%. If you want any, like, what my experiences with this Canon camera, I can tell you this is the second Canon camera I bought. This one is awesome. I can give you some of my experiences with it. But if I would say one thing that's going to make you have more fun, just you, is to have a camera and have an over the top for your reviews. It's so much more fun, dude. Because going around the camera to try to mess with the hands,
Oh,
dude,
it's a pain.
it is not, dude. I have so much fun on my reviews
But
because
I'm doing everything on the cheap.
I understand.
So like,
I swear to God, I'm gonna send you my extra digital. I'm not even using. I'm gonna send you my camera because I want want you to have fun, dude.
oh, well, believe me, I enjoy what I do.
I
But
know
so
you're having
if
fun.
it
I
was
know.
something over, I can't see that it's. I don't. I want to see what it is that is the camera seeing.
Sure, sure.
So
Well,
I don't know.
that's so I have the Canon camera has a flip out display, so I
Okay.
could see. Plus, I do it right here on my two monster screens. I have it directly to my computer, so
Yeah.
as I'm doing OBS, it's taping the video so I can see what it's seeing.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And again, and that's what I was saying. Like, and again, I'm not trying to say like. It almost sounds like I'm saying I have it so much harder. Like, I do everything on my phone. Right? So like,
No,
it is low rent for me. All right. Like, it is low rent. But that's all the goal. The whole goal is to eventually everything that you're making is
yes,
it
paying for itself.
it supports your hobby, and not
Exactly.
just for me. It's like catching up with for as much stuff as I purchased. I wasn't making money. Now I make
Sure.
money, but you got to catch yourself up.
Yes,
And
yes,
then if you want to
absolutely.
use it for other things too, obviously, I got a new computer. When the camera died, ring lights, they always die
Yep,
at the worst time.
yep. Dude, by the way, if you ever want lights, what I wound up doing was in my setup. I don't know if you can see it over here. So those lights, that light bulb is from Home Depot. It's an adjustable. You buy it. I bought a couple of them, and it has all different lighting, different temperatures of lights and so on that you can use from your phone. And I have 3 of them. And I have in my garage, I have another 3. And dude, you can do so many things with the lighting for it. So many things. Let me try to start the app just so you can see like the different lights that you can get here. But yeah, it's dude, what I'm trying to get at here is I'm having an absolute blast with YouTube. And I think that other people, again, purple, here's right. I'm gonna make it brighter. Oh, let's turn on the other one. This one. Yep. No. But yeah, it's so much fun, dude.
And you should be, because this is a hobby.
Yep.
You know, when it becomes a job, like Dan Larson for Secret Galaxy, that is his career now. That is his job, right?
Correct.
You know, that's what when you get to that point, that's when you start reassessing it.
Yes.
Even if you're making a little bit of money, that's great and all, but you should still be having fun.
Yep.
And when you finally get to the point where you're like, all right, I really have to do taxes on this. I mean, I have to do taxes this year. That's all. But it's not like if I quit my job today, YouTube's not paying my bills.
Yes. No. Dude, it once it becomes work for me, then I'm not doing it because I have a job and I have a family. I have a job that pays the bills, right? And I cannot take time away from my hobby to take away from my job because my job is what pays for everything.
Yeah.
Right. So again, from my perspective for YouTube, this is a hobby and this is fun. And that's why I'm going to continue to do shit that I like, right? I'm only going to do stuff I like. I'm never going to, just like you, I'm never going to feel forced to make a video just because it has views, right? I know for a fact I can do reaction videos and edit it down and get another video for 25K views. I know I can do that, but that's not fun.
Yeah, and that's just it. If that's not fun for you, then you don't do it.
Yep.
You know, now you're right. It's different if you're like, this is my job now. Correct. So these reaction videos, they pay for the lights, they pay for the food, food for my kids and the roof. Then just like
it's a different story.
I go to work, and some days I don't want to go to work, like tomorrow. So I think we need to wrap it up.
This is awesome, guys.
Dude, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on, Punk.
Oh, you know what? I think it was an honor to have this as my first one of the new year, 2025.
Sorry if I talk too much, guys.
No, believe me, that's what I need. All right, I talk enough on Mondays. I find myself sometimes talking too much on this when I'm like, I'm supposed to be having the guest do all the talking. But you have to do what people want to hear. So anyway, what I do need you guys to do is go down into the description and you will find Wraith Mace's name for his YouTube and for his Instagram, where he is clearly blowing up. I don't even know why I'm promoting him. Because he'll be past me very soon. And
no, I'm not gonna be past you, dude.
Oh, just wait. It'll only take so much time. So I am gonna get out of here. But what I am gonna do is I'm gonna promote myself. Yeah. I don't know if anyone else. I don't know if anyone saw my commercial that Legend Series asked me to do for them, but I'm gonna be putting it out on YouTube because I did it. Anyway, Wraith, it was great to have you on here. Like I said, a complete blast, and I'm sure I will see you popping up on Monday. Tell everyone where they can find you, other than me just telling everyone.
If you guys want a Wraith Mace on YouTube, I have my Instagram, I have my Facebook, I have my TikTok, which it's like no views on it. I don't give a shit about that. But if you have a chance, please check out any of my music videos. Let me know. Put a comment in there. Let me know what you think. If you think it sucks, tell you it sucks. Put a dislike on it. Anything. as long as I get an idea of what you guys want to see for the future from Warhammer, especially Joy Toy, that's the point.
And do you have anything coming up?
So I have a 19 figure review video on Joy Toy Blood Angels that is going to be going up probably this weekend, and the next 2-3 days you're going to see a deluge of videos. I have another 6, 7, 8 videos which are going to be coming out. So,
And any live streams?
yes, I just had my live stream fixed today, so I'm probably a little bit too late, but tomorrow I'm gonna do some gaming live stream, and every Sunday 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time I do a Joy Toy Warhammer live stream. We talk for about an hour or two, go to about 1 o'clock in the morning, talking about everything from Joy Toy releases, Warhammer 40k stuff, Space Marine 2, video games, and so on. So,
All right, then. Well, thank you very much for joining me. I had a blast. I hope everyone else
I
did
did
too.
too, guys.
When your numbers pop up 1 or 2 more, it's because of me.
Yes,
Anyway.
absolutely. Thank you guys for watching too.
All right, and check him out. And again, Monday nights. And here's what you're gonna hear. Let me tell you something, me, Gene. So I'm sitting at home Monday night, and I get this DM from some guy named Tony, Legend Series, and he says, "What you doing, Hawkster?" I said, I'm watching Monday Night Raw. What are you doing? He's like, "You got to turn on this thing called Monday Night Toy Ramblings on YouTube with this punk with toys. He's talking about you." So I want to turn on over and hear what this fool was talking about. And I turn it on, and all I hear him say is that he was at WrestleMania 3 with 93,173 of his best friends, and he was there when he watched me pick up that big, mean, ugly giant, and when I slammed into the ground, he said he felt the Silverdome shake all of Pontiac, Michigan. It shook, and then that's when I realized that this guy, him and all his punkomaniacs that are running wild every Monday night, that it is the best thing going in Michigan that's ever happened. Maybe the best thing ever on Monday night. So, if you're sitting here right now and you're not paying attention, a punk with toys, Monday Night Toy Ramblings, this guy will talk about everything. And it doesn't matter what you do. You can buy your subs. You can hit him with fake copyright strikes. He's coming after you if you get on his bad side. So what you're gonna do when Hulkamania, when Punkamania, when they all run wild on you?